host, sabrinasalvati. I'm your host, sabrinasalvati. All right. Happy Sunday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Sabby's podcast. I'm your host, Sabrina Salvati. If you're new, I do want to let you know that Sabby's podcast is a part of Revolutionary Blackout Network. You can catch me there once a month for the roundtable, and you can catch me here on Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Welcome back, guys. Shout out to everyone watching on YouTube, Rockfin, Twitter, and Rumble. And we have a very big show tonight. I don't want to keep our guests waiting, so let's go ahead and show you what we are discussing. Let's show you that beautiful thumbnail, ladies and gents. There's a lot of news that is happening. It's been a crazy weekend. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are discussing, if you have not seen it, you'll get to see snippets of it here, Erika Kirk's town hall with Barry Weiss. That was a doozy. That one was difficult to watch, but we are going to go through it here tonight. We're also going to discuss, if you haven't heard about this yet, there apparently was an attack, an ISIS attack against 2 or 3 American soldiers. To go along with that, there was also an attack at Bondi Beach in Australia. Donald Trump has delivered responses about both of these events. And I'm here to tell you guys something really funny is going on. Something strange is happening. We're seeing too many attacks happen close together. I'm going to get into that. We're also going to discuss, we have a special guest with us. He is running against Randy Fine, that gentleman that we all dislike so much. He is running against him. His name is Aaron Baker. We'll bring him in. We're also going to discuss Byron Donaldson is taking a hit. He is getting ratioed left and right because he was just recently at a pro-Israel event and people are calling him out. And last but not least, unfortunately, this one is rather close to me physically. Brown University. There was a mass shooting at Brown University yesterday. So we're going to get into all of that. Like I said, guys, it's too many attacks happening close together, and it makes me very, very concerned. Tonight's theme is in plain sight. These things are not hidden anymore. It's right out in the open, and we're going to dive into it. So let's go ahead and get started with our special guest. His name is Aaron Baker, and he is taking a brave fight. He is fighting against and running against Congressman Randy Fine. Let's go ahead and bring him in. What's going on, Aaron? Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here.
So you decided to do something I think many of us have been waiting to happen. Congressmember Randy Fine has been, I got to say, I've heard a lot of things in my lifetime, but he has said really vile, disgusting comments against Muslim Americans. He's just been very crude. First and foremost, why did you decide to run against him? And please explain to us, how is it that someone like Randy Fine was able to win? Was he this way prior to his congressional race, or did he change after he got into Congress?
So this seat came open. This was Congressman Waltz's seat, who's now the UN ambassador. Waltz was appointed by Trump to National Security Advisor after Trump won the election. So then we had an open seat. Back in the early part of President Trump's election, or in the late part when they were running short on funds, Randy Fine and a group that he raised money with, they donated about $500,000 to President Trump's campaign. So to me, it's pay for play. It's, politics as usual. You donate to somebody else's campaign, and then all of a sudden you're the chosen one, if you will. So he got the president's nod. He was always this bombastic. They couldn't stand him in the Florida legislature. Um, he lives in Brevard County. He doesn't live in the congressional district, so he lives about, as Governor DeSantis says, about 100 miles that way.
Wait, so he doesn't live in that district?
No, no. It's not required under the Constitution. The Constitution says that you have to live in the state in which you represent. That's a specific language there. So there are Congress people that don't live in their district. He just happens to be one of them, one of very few. So I was approached during the special election by a group of Republicans, and they said, Aaron, this guy is no good. If you compare him to the Grinch, it makes the Grinch look like somebody that you would want to live next door to. And I'm quoting Mr. Fine's language. He literally called a school board member a whore. He withheld funding from the Brevard Zoo because he couldn't have a political fundraiser there. He was ordered to court order anger management for flipping off a judge in a Zoom appearance. So, I mean, he has this history that we all knew about. If you look through his campaign finance, he goes to Las Vegas, spends $15,000 on entertainment expenses. Who knows what that is, and bills it back to his campaign as just entertainment expenses. I don't think any normal Floridian living in the 6th congressional district has the ability to, basically take a work trip to Las Vegas and spend $15,000 on an average weekend. So we knew what we were up against. The problem is in Florida's special election setup, this was announced right before Christmas of last year. So you're not going to go knock on people's doors in Christmas and, basically between Christmas and New Year's. So it gave us the month of January this year to run a campaign for a special election where my average cost per vote was $6 in the primary. His was over $100 because he's just such a reprehensible person. But if you send enough mail to enough primary voters, then they're like, oh, well, President Trump endorsed him. He's got to be the golden child. We all knew what we were going to get once he got there. So, I mean, literally the day after his election, his general election in April, I filed the paperwork to run against him again because I understand his mentality. In Brevard County, where he lives, he's known as the bully of Brevard. And that's exactly what he does. He's a big bully. And sometimes you need to stand up to that schoolyard bully and tell him, no, it's not right to hate an entire, it's not right to hate every single Muslim on the planet, for example. It's not right to hate every Jewish person on the planet. It's not right to hate every Christian person. You go down the list. It's his heart is filled with hate.
Yeah. So he's been this way. Yeah, I was curious. I was curious about that.
And
okay.
They could not wait to get him out of the legislature in Florida, in Tallahassee, because he's just the bombastic buffoon that he is. I mean, now he's on the national stage and says the most outrageous things. You can go through any of his tweets. I don't have to do, it's a funny business because you get all these people and they're like, well, we can do political opposition research. I don't need to do any opposition research. Just wait for him to open his mouth, and day after day, he doesn't let us down.
Yeah. I want to show people an example of that. This is more recent. And he shared this himself, by the way. This is not shared by just another X account. So he is sharing his statement here. Representative Fine on how to deal with mainstream Muslims. I just want you guys to hear what he said here.
I don't know how you make peace with those who seek your destruction. I think you destroy them first. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back. I don't know how you make peace with those who seek your destruction. I think you destroy them first. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
So that's Randy Fine. That's who Aaron is running against. Many people are saying that he should be censured for his statements. He's very, very he's an Islamophobe, and he doesn't hide it. And another thing about Randy, for those who are not familiar with him, Track APAC has really been on him. And they're also saying censure Randy Fine, expel Randy Fine. Randy Fine is another one that takes a lot of money, over $450,000 here from APAC. Another one they had here, they made a screenshot of some of the things that he said. The first one here says Palestinian is just another word for demon. The next one here says, tell your fellow Muslim terrorists to release the hostages and surrender. Until then, starve away. He said that to Rashida Tlaib, by the way, for those, if you can't see this that well. He also said, none. May the streets of Gaza run red with their blood. He's very vile and crude, and nobody has filed any type of motion to censure Randy Fine, but they did, of course, choose to censure Rashida Tlaib. This is someone, again, Aaron, that is just very crude. And I'm wondering, how do you fight back against someone like Randy that has so much money from APAC?
Well, it seems like a monumental task, but it really isn't. The most number of votes that any Republican has ever received in the primary was Governor DeSantis when this was his congressional district. He held the seat before Congressman Waltz. He received 42,000 votes in the primary. So you're not looking for millions and millions of votes. This is a district that President Trump won by 30 points. Randy Fine underperformed that. He won by 14 points. So he underperformed Trump literally right after Trump's election by 16 points. They had to spend a ton of money dragging him, kicking and screaming over the finish line, because basically Randy Fine doesn't like people. He likes to go to Washington. He likes to be the center of attention. He doesn't want to get out like I do. Every single day, I'm out there doing different events. Yesterday, I had a parade that I went to in the morning, went to the Wreaths Across America from 12 to 2, went to Grinch Fest, where we set up a tent, and I had volunteers that went ahead of time, set up a tent, and we collect petitions to get on the ballot, because there are two ways to get on the ballot. You can pay $10,440, which I had done in the special election, or you can collect 5,373 candidate petitions, which we're in the process of doing right now. I have a whole bunch to turn in, and I've already started turning them in. So there are ways to save money as a grassroots candidate, if you will, and ways to spend your money wisely. I go to a lot of different events where the cost is very low or even minimal. I know this time of year there are a million Christmas parties, and today was, when we were going back and forth through days, today was one of the few days that I actually had nothing on my calendar today, and it's especially in December. Until you get up to about Christmas Eve, and then it just drops off till after the first of the year. We've created our own software with all the voter data. So we will literally go door to door, and our goal is to target the top 100,000 Republican voters in this district. And whether that's, if we're going to be able to knock on 100,000 doors once, that's great. And then, the more times that you can get there, the better. So there are cost-effective ways for us to do this where we don't need, $10-12 million that it's estimated that he spent. For us, this is a campaign of probably $500,000 to $1 million. So you do need some money, but you just don't need buckets and buckets of money, because, obviously I'm running against what I think is probably the worst Republican in the entire House of Representatives.
Yeah, he's really bad. Question here, and I want to go through your policy platform. I want to start with foreign policy
Sure.
because I think this is a big one. One of the things I noticed that you mentioned here for foreign policy is that basically, long story short, that you will prioritize U.S. taxpayers and national interests. You're calling out all the money that is going to, whether it's Israel or any other country, instead of using those funds and resources to help people here in the United States. There seems to be this divide that is happening right now, especially within the Republican Party, that many of us have been paying attention to. And I've been talking about a lot on this show, where there seems to be a segment that is backing and supporting Donald Trump at every measure, regardless if he's doing something wrong. And then there's another side where it's more like Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, they are calling out that this is not what people voted for. This is not America first, and we need to take care of our interests right here at home. I got to be honest, Aaron, this is the first time I've heard Republicans like kind of say that we need to take care of people here, and also that we need to focus on affordability. Can you talk a little bit about that?
100%. The poverty rate in this congressional district is 14.6%. That's 3.5 points higher than the national average. I don't care how affordable Washington tells us everyday life is. For me, I mean, I see it every single day. Look at how much gas the person in front of you gets or paid for when you go to the gas pump. I just challenge every one of your viewers to do that. Look and see how much the person in front of you got. Now, I own a small business. I'm business partners with a general contractor. So I have the ability to stop and fill up my truck, okay? But it breaks my heart when the person in front of me got $4 worth of gas, $5 worth of gas, $8 worth of gas. That is somebody that is trying to get to work and home from work, and that's it. We're not talking about living paycheck to paycheck. We're talking about living day to day. And it is not acceptable to me that we continue to give billions and billions and billions of dollars away to the rest of the world, and we are not taking care of our people right here at home. We have to do a better job. I had a lady ask me the other day, she said, well, I want to make sure that you'll still support Israel. And I said, ma'am, until we have zero homeless veterans in this congressional district, I'm not supporting any foreign country. So I don't think I'm in the Tucker camp. I think Tucker is, I grew up watching Tucker. I've watched him for the last 20 years. I think he's drifted off a little bit. Candace, I think she's drifted off a lot. But I'm more in the Thomas Massey, Marjorie Taylor Greene camp of let's just do what's right for Americans. Let's help the people here. When I go to the grocery store and I get 8 things and it's $102, how do people afford to live? I mean, it's almost impossible. You know, a sad story, but happy ending. One of the construction sites that we're working on down by the Orlando airport, it's an area that's known where people will dump their dogs. Okay. So I was working on an addition that we were building for a homeowner down there. And here comes this husky just bebop up to the back of the house. And the lady said, Aaron, did you see the dog? And I'm like, what dog? And I mean, she's covered in dirt. She's covered in just stink. And you could tell that she'd been out for a couple weeks out on the street. No chip, no collar, no tag. Filed a missing, or in Florida, you can file a found pet report, meaning that if somebody is missing their pet, like if the pet got out of the yard or something, you can file a found pet report, and it goes through their system to make sure that no one's missing this pet. She's sitting on my couch right now. We've had her for about 3 months. But the whole point is, we're at a point in this country right now where people can't afford to feed their pets.
Yeah.
So if people can't afford to feed their pets, people can't afford to feed their kids. None of us can afford health care. I don't care how much money you have. You can't afford health care right now. And it's not a Democrat issue. It's not a Republican issue. This is a congressional issue where we have had 15 years to do something about the Affordable Care Act, and neither side has done a damn thing about it. We have to do better as a country.
So I'm glad that you mentioned healthcare, because like me personally, I support universal healthcare. I am to the left of the Democratic Party because the Democratic Party, with the exception of a couple of politicians that are there, don't even support universal healthcare. But one of the biggest complaints I hear from people, even in my state, in Massachusetts, is the healthcare issue. People just can't afford it. Depending on what kind of job you have, can determine what your coverage is going to be. You have no control over that. The premiums continue to increase, but people's salaries aren't increasing. This is a really big one. When I look at people like you and Thomas Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene, in my mind, I feel like you guys should have your own political party. I said the same thing about members of the squad, to be honest with you. I said the same thing about AOC and all of them. That should be a separate political party because I feel like the leadership in the Republican Party and the Democratic Party are not allowing the populist positions to be brought to the floor for a vote. If you were to win against Randy Fine, how would you deal with that? How would you deal against fighting back against the Republican Party leadership?
Well, do what Thomas Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene did. You start filing discharge petitions to get legislation. If the leadership won't take up the legislation that you want, example, the Epstein list, and now Marjorie Taylor Greene is going through filing discharge petitions on different things before she leaves Congress. If the leadership isn't listening to what needs to happen, then I mean, we obviously have to do something different. I don't know what happened to Washington back when I grew up and Reagan was president, Tip O'Neill was the Speaker of the House. You know, they hated each other between the hours of 9 and 5. At 5 o'clock, they could sit down and have an Irish whiskey. You know, this was politics almost at its best, where they knew that they had to work together because it was a House divided. It's a Democratic House and a Republican president. We don't have that anymore. We still, right now, we have a Republican House, Republican Senate, Republican president, and nothing is getting done. They just passed legislation to codify 15 executive orders into law through the House, and we'll see what the Senate does. But I mean, we've been at this a year. That's the first thing that they've done. They can't even agree on a continuing resolution to keep the government open. And it's the most ridiculous thing that you've ever seen or heard of, because as soon as they reopen the government, then they just back pay all the government employees. So government being open should not be an option. It should. I really do support Thomas Massey and his approach to continuing resolutions, if you will, where it's 12 separate bills that are passed. Okay, we know that we're going to keep the government open. That's one. We know that we're going to pay the military. That's two. And then you go down the list so that we don't have these issues in the future. And I'll work with any members of Congress. You know, it's once you're elected, you know, you're elected as a Republican, as a Democrat, but you're elected to represent every single person in your congressional district. That's about 900,000 people. And I only have 291,000 registered Republicans. So the other 2/3 are either not registered to vote, registered Democrat, registered NPA, registered independent. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you are there to represent every single one of your constituents and be a voice for them. And that's the complete opposite of what we have right now.
Well, I agree with you that people are just not they're not really trying to benefit the working class. A lot of these people, I think, are looking out for their political careers or how many books they can write, how many speaking fees that they can obtain. But another thing I noticed too on your website, this one actually shocked me. I want to show everyone this here. You have a policy here for criminal injustice and law enforcement. And one of the things you mentioned here is that you support reform, criminal justice reform, working towards that. Now, again, I'm further to the left in the Democratic Party. So I know you and I don't agree on a number of things. I would say shut it all down. I would say defund the police, etc. But this is the first time I've seen, again, a Republican candidate want to work on criminal justice reform. When I looked at your platform, to me, this kind of stood out as like an independent campaign. So two things I'm curious. Why did you decide not to run as an independent? And then two, why this desire to work on criminal justice reform?
Well, I grew up in a Republican family. I was born in Florida, but grew up in Western Kentucky. Um, and my family was always very involved in politics. My grandfather used to own a business right on North Main Street and owned basically the entire city block. And he had one little office building that he turned into Republican headquarters every election season. So from the time I was 8 years old, handing out Bush Quail signs and Bush Quail bumper stickers I've been a Republican. So I believe that the Republican Party can be fixed, but we have to get back to a point where both political parties work in the best interest of the people. To criminal justice reform, I think that there are still injustices happening. I mean, you see, and this probably leans more toward the libertarian side. You see that a lot of the marijuana issues in different states, for example, are heavily criminalized. But I think if the federal government changes the classification on that, which they're expected to do, then that's really going to change the way a lot of these crimes are looked at. Now, as far as if you're talking about raising the threshold for shoplifting from $300 for a felony up to $1,000, I don't support that at all. I think that Florida has done a very good job and really stands kind of shoulders above a lot of the northern, and I have family in Maryland, so I'm back and forth and between here, Maryland, DC area, quite a bit. But I've seen, anytime you go to Baltimore City, I mean, the entire town smells like pot. I don't want that here. I don't want that in Florida. Now, if that's decriminalized to a certain extent, I think it's going to kind of ease the burden on a lot of law enforcement. Going to free up some resources there. But at the same time, that's more toward the libertarian side of being a Republican than being the mainstream good old boy Republican club. So I think there's still room in the Republican Party for somebody that has a common sense voice, and that's what I hope to be.
So I think that's where we also disagree. I don't believe that the Republican Party can be reformed. I don't believe the Democratic Party can be reformed, not because of people like yourself, but because of the big money interests. I think that corporate money has to get out of electoral politics for that change to happen. But I will say, and I'll make this very clear, you are the first Republican candidate to come onto this show, the very first. And there's a number of politicians, they will not come on here. They will not come on here, Aaron. They look at like what I support and what I stand for, and they're like, no, I'm good. So kudos to you.
But why can't we have a reasonable conversation? That's all I want. Is I just want to have a reasonable conversation.
I don't know.
You and I aren't yelling and screaming back and forth. We're saying here's policy, and we might not agree on it, but hey, we're talking about it.
Yeah, a lot of political candidates will not come on to. I mean, the third party candidates will most likely come on. Some of the Democrat candidates will come on, but even in the Democratic Party, some of them won't come on either. Like they don't. So I will say, kudos for you for coming on. One thing that I want to bring up as well, I thought this was also interesting. You mentioned, I want to put this back up here. You did mention Social Security. You talked about Social Security and healthcare. You're in favor of Social Security. You're not trying to say it should go away. This is a big one, but also environmental concerns. I want to hear a little bit from you about this because, again, I was also surprised. that this was also on your platform, your concerns about the environment.
So I think that most people, I think Florida Republicans specifically are quite different because we have a state where we spend a lot of time outside, hunting, fishing, swimming. This congressional district has the entire Ocala National Forest right in the middle of it. So it makes it a pain because you always have to drive around it, unless you want to drive through it, and it's not the best roads. But we love the environment. I mean, we have a lot of springs, natural springs, that are absolute pristine. We want to keep that. If you see, I was actually very proud. One thing that I'll agree with Congressman Fine on, he was one of every single congressional member in the state of Florida that does not want offshore drilling off the coast of Florida. Every single congressional member in Florida signed that letter to President Trump saying, no, we don't want that. So we really do. We have infrastructure needs here where we have to address flooding, and we have a lot of needed infrastructure here. So I think Florida Republicans are just built different as far as the environment goes. We want clean air, clean water, and we want our skies to be absolute pristine, beautiful. It might not be the case all across the planet, but I guess Florida's just a little special.
That is interesting. Well, you are not alone, and I do want to show this to people. I announced this when this video dropped on the show. There is an organization called AZAPAC. They are fighting back against organizations like lobby interest groups like APAC. Also, they mentioned Kufi on their website, and they also mentioned J Street, not just APAC. I think that's a really important part. And you have some comrades that are joining you because you are also a part of AZAPAC. I just want to play a part of this here.
This blind allegiance, this veto on our national sovereignty, this denial of reality must end. We've had more than enough. AZAPAC isn't here to beg. We're here to evict. We're backing warriors who spit in the face of this cabal. Jose Vega in New York, confronting the uniparty machine. He's challenging APAC darling Richie Torres. Mike Wilnaugh in Florida, an America-only patriot challenging Daniel Webster, a fossilized incumbent who serves everyone but the American people. Aaron Baker, also in Florida. He rejects APAC bribes and demands an end to the foreign aid grift. He's challenging the biggest Zionist of them all, Randy Fine.
Tucker Carlson is the most dangerous anti-Semite in America.
AZAPAC isn't a protest, it's a reclamation. America.
So this is, I have to say, this ad is freaking awesome. I can't play the whole thing because I can't show something like the explosions, but I think this is awesome, and more things like this need to happen. But this is nonpartisan because you guys have Jose Vega, you have yourself, and then also Mike.
Mm-hmm. And there are different organizations like a New Policy PAC, also that are, that we talk to all the time. And it's not, to your point, it's not a partisan issue. APAC is not partisan. They give money to over 90% of the members of Congress. They don't care if you're a Republican. They don't care if you're a Democrat. They simply just want you to keep the printing press at the Federal Reserve on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to get as much money overseas as they can possibly get. And at some point, enough is enough. Stop printing money. Every dollar that is printed by the Federal Reserves makes every dollar that you and I have worth less.
Well, some people from MMT, from modern monetary theory, would say that the Fed can continue to print money. They would say the federal government can also mint a coin and pay for a lot of these things, a lot of the issues that we have here. But I get your point. I guess my question is, in your district, what has been the response from people about what is happening in Gaza, about Israel? What are you hearing from constituents on the ground?
Most people are horrified by it. I mean, anybody with, more than 3 brain cells, you look at what's happening and you're either in the Randy Fine camp, or you're horrified. Most people, most everyday citizens are horrified. Uh, the issue is, it is a closed primary state. If it were not a closed primary state, I would have 900,000 votes versus Randy Fine. But it's closed primary, meaning only Republicans can vote. So, we have to get people to turn off Fox News and actually use their brain and think, is it good when a politician signs a warhead that we're sending overseas to kill women and children? Charlie Kirk said it best himself. He said the plan is to ethnically cleanse 2 million people. Okay, well, there you go. That was what Charlie Kirk said.
Aaron, are you concerned about these pastors that just went to Israel? 1,000 pastors went there, and they said they're trying to bring 10,000 more to send this message back to their congregation that they need to support Israel.
I think anybody should be concerned. I mean, if we had 1,000 pastors that went to communist China, what would the response be? If we had 1,000 pastors that went to North Korea, if we had 1,000 pastors that went to any foreign country, if we had 1,000 pastors that went to France and then came back, we would be like, what's going on here? So to say that it's okay that one specific foreign country has this much influence, it's not right. And it doesn't matter if it's Israel, if it's Qatar, if it's whatever foreign country is, trying to buy influence that day. Yesterday, I've been working with a national media company, and we're going to start billboards along I-95. And it simply says, Aaron Baker for Congress, no foreign money in politics. That's it. We need to get the foreign influence out of our politics. We have to start taking care of Americans. And I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, purple, brown, black, white. The level of influence by outsiders is just not acceptable to me.
And I think that's where you and I agree. I'm tired of it. I've had enough. I don't know how the homelessness rate is in your area, but I can tell you it just continues to increase, at least here in the Boston area and in Massachusetts. I just don't see these things. And then there's a site, I don't know if you've seen this, Aaron, there's a website called Out of Reach. Every year they distribute a report about the cost of living in the United States, and they rank each state. Florida has been increasing over the years. Florida is getting closer and closer to that top 10. And it just goes to show you that this problem can't be solved by telling people just move to a state where the cost of living is cheaper. Because as someone who lived in the Northeast, that's a big thing up here where people say, oh, we'll just move to Florida. So people move to Florida, and now Florida is becoming more expensive because obviously the demand is increasing. And that makes the supply, more expensive. It's just, I really think people need to understand that affordability is a big issue for a lot of people in this country. And I would say anybody who, as you said some people live in day to day, not just paycheck to paycheck. It takes me back to 2008 moments, 2008, when people were dealing with that, where they could only let's just put $5 in the gas tank so this can get me to work and get me back home. And I do feel like when you look at the Democrats and the Republicans, the leadership, they're not focusing on the affordability crisis in this country.
No, they're so out of touch. I mean, Congressman Fine is worth about $30 million, and that's fine. Whatever. I think that we have become accustomed to electing people that are so out of touch with everyday going to the grocery store. I mean, I go to Sam's Club because Publix is so freaking expensive. I don't know how anybody can afford to buy anything at Publix. I think up north you have Safeway instead of Publix, so or whatever the grocery store.
We have Shaw's, and that's like our Publix. It's just as expensive.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm forced to drive, roughly 20 miles to Sam's Club, which I do, every week, every other week to get the necessities that I need. But affordability, I've said it 1,000 times in this election cycle, until Republicans wake up and don't tell us how cheap everything is and how much better the economy is. I don't care if gas is $2.92 a gallon or $2.77 a gallon. That does not make that big of a difference. I understand it trickled down and eventually it'll make a little bit of difference. But right now, at this given time, when people can't afford groceries, Republicans have to start talking about affordability. And that's my advice to the Democrats also. Talk about nothing else. Nothing else. Don't talk about anything other than affordability, and whoever talks about affordability will win the midterms. But the Republicans right now can't get their head out of their ass and listen to what's going on the ground, because we're so out of touch with reality. 90% of our elected leaders are just simply so out of touch. I mean, they probably, the old saying, a flyover district. Well, the flyover district, this is what we've created for Randy Fine. He lives 100 miles south, so he flies over Monday morning to Washington, flies back Friday, or if he even comes home. I know that when he first got elected, he had told Marjorie Taylor Greene that he was excited to be able to move to Washington and live there, and had no interest in living in the congressional district. We have to do better. We just have to do better. And I believe that I can do. I'm not perfect, but I can guarantee you I can do 1,000 times better than he can.
Well, Aaron, good luck to you. Good luck to you. Randy Fine is absolutely repulsive. I have been in the beginning, I was shocked by some of the things that he said, and now I've just become accustomed to it. And that's the even more scarier part, that there is someone in Congress that is saying those things. And I actually consider him to be very dangerous. So good luck to you. And where can people follow your campaign?
FLAaron.com.
All right, Aaron.
LAARON.com.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time.
No, thank you very much for having me. I greatly appreciate being on your show.
All righty. Bye.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Aaron Baker, who is running against Randy Fine, the evil Randy Fine. Oh my gosh. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I think, and that's what I was saying. Like, I think I really do wish, like, all these people that have like this populist like agenda had their own party. I really do. And I know third parties are hard and the infrastructure is tough and they don't have the money. I totally get it. But I feel like we just don't have a party for the people. That's just my take on it. It just feels, I don't know. So we have more stories to discuss, ladies and gentlemen. Again, tonight's theme is in plain sight, because they're not hiding it anymore. They're doing all this out in the open, right in front of our freaking faces. And we're going to dive into that tonight, ladies and gents. Let me go ahead and say hello to people in the chat. Thank you for the super chat, Measured Man. Sorry, Sabby, for the emails. You taught me to, well, the first time I jumped in this space. So the many emails was because my job that pays the bills starts back tomorrow. Love the channel. My org still wants to support you, Tony. Oh, thank you, Tony. And I'm glad you get to, your job is starting back. I know what that's like. That sucks. Shout out to Douglas, says, I absolutely love this channel since coming across it recently. Great intro music. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Justice by Karma, who's been a member for 3 months. Bigots like Randy Fine should never have success in politics. But the fact that so many like him is a reflection of how much bigotry is in America. Vance says, I love someone is challenging Randy Fine. I consistently think about getting into a street fight with him. I just want to have one fight with Randy Fine so bad. Okay. All right, Corey. Thank you. Thank you so much for that update. Thank you, Measured Man, for the super chat. Waiting on pictures at Sakina. I need to send, but a lot of the church pews in Houston today were empty. A friend circulated the list yesterday. Well. And thank you. Laz says, Sabby, have you seen the movie Ella McKay? It's nice. I have not. Thank you. Okay, ladies and gents, let's go ahead and give a shout out to everyone who's a Sabby patron. Thank you guys so much for your support. You are keeping the lights on around here. If you're interested in being a Sabby patron, I have 5 categories. Ultimate, Sabinators, there's Sabsters. Don't forget about those Sabbies. They're cool too. We are all here doing the damn thing. And last but not least, there are members. All of their names are listed here. And you can also see their names scrolling across the bottom of the screen there on the ticker. I want to give a shout out to new Sabby patrons. I like to call them newbies. Let's give it up for Karen Magnus, Isaac Walls, and Fori Alamain. Thank you. Thank you so much. Whoop, whoop. I know I said it like that. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't had a chance to do so, do me a solid and smash that like button. And if you're new, don't forget to like, sub, and share, just like a Care Bear. Again, the theme is in plain sight. Let's go ahead and get started with this next story, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, there was a shooting that happened in a state right next to me. Providence, Rhode Island is very close to Boston, Massachusetts. And there was a shooting at Brown University that was on Saturday. And we are receiving more details about that at this moment. Again, I just want everybody to pay attention to all these attacks that are happening so close together. I think that's very concerning. Let's go ahead and get started with this clip here.
On campus, federal, state, and local authorities all searching for that shooter. Faculty and students are being told to continue to shelter in place. Brown sending several emergency alerts. People on campus instructed to lock doors, silence their phones, and remain hidden. Officials say the first reports of an active shooter came in around 4 this afternoon at the engineering building where a final exam was underway. The school's winter break begins 1 week from today. And just moments ago, Vice President Vance called the shooting terrible news, and President Trump spoke to reporters.
Well, I've been fully briefed on the Brown University situation, what a terrible thing it is. And all we can do right now is pray for the victims and for those that were very badly hurt, it looks like. And we'll inform you later as to what's happening, but it's a shame. It's a shame. Just pray. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's wild, you guys. Again, like I told you, I've said it before, America is a violent country, but it's interesting to me that these attacks are happening so closely together, all within 2025. It's just back to back to back to back. And this Brown University story, to me, I don't see as any different. I see it as well as there is something happening here. Now, I'm going to assume that Kash Patel and the FBI are going to say it's a crazy radical leftist. We told you guys, it's the left. They're the ones that are so dangerous. They're the ones that are doing these things. And so I'm just waiting for that. I'm just waiting for them to say that. I'm waiting for that statement to come about. And, you know, I don't know. I feel like they're going to try to use these incidents as some way to censor us even more. And I think they're going to start with social media. I think they're going to be able to say, well, it's the left that's causing all this violence in the world, in the country. And so we have to shut them down. Let's start with Facebook. Let's go to X. Let's go to, they already went after TikTok, but they'll go after it even harder. And so I feel like there is an agenda here. I don't feel like these are one-offs. Let's go on a little bit more here.
Let's get straight to ABC's DOJ, Homeland Security and law enforcement reporter Luke Barr. Luke, what can you tell us about who law enforcement is looking for at this hour?
Yeah, Andrew. So law enforcement is looking for a man who is dressed in black, who entered the building just around 4 o'clock and opened fire. Now, there is very few details about what or who this person is, but certainly a large manhunt underway with federal, state, and local authorities all around the east side of Providence looking for this suspect, Andrew.
So let me just go ahead and tell you guys something a little bit here about Providence, Rhode Island. It's basically like a small Boston. That's the best way I can describe it. Smaller than Boston, but the second largest city in New England. It goes back and forth between Providence and Worcester for that spot there. But even though it's smaller than Boston, Providence, Rhode Island has at least four to five colleges. They have Rhode Island College. They have Johnson and Wales, Brown University, and then there's Providence College. So yeah, even though it's a smaller Boston type city and dense, they do have quite a number of universities that are there. So I just want to give people that information there as well, just to give you an idea. And I say that because this person could have easily went from Brown to Rhode Island College, from there to Providence College, from there to Johnson and Wales. So Providence isn't a big city. Now, at this point, earlier Sunday morning, they did say that they had a person of interest. Let's go into this here. And there was a student that talked about what happened on campus.
I'm going to go ahead and bring in Ref Bari, who is a student here at the university. And Ref, I understand that you were in the building or nearby as you heard the shots ring out.
Yeah. The shots rang out behind me. So I was in Barrison Hawley, the physics and engineering building. And yeah, it happened all behind me.
And what did you hear? What did you see? And what was going through your mind at the time?
Yeah, so what happened is I had just had a meeting with my satellite team, the T-Rex team, and I was heading down. So we have a physics office on the first floor of Barrison Hawley. So I left the first floor office, and there's a step of stairs that connects the old part of Barrison Hawley to the new part. The old part is the physics part, the new part is the engineering part. So I'm walking down these steps of stairs. I'm about to head to the diner, the Ratty. And when I'm on the second or third step of the staircase, I hear this pop, 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 like punctuated, like pop sounds, like 6 or 7 of them ring out behind me. And I've never heard anything like that in my life. So
Did you instantly know that it was gunfire, or you thought maybe it was something else?
No, I thought, okay, you have no idea that, this thing is real in the moment, right? There's no kind of fact check in real life. I glanced behind me very quickly, and the lobby of Barrison Hawley was empty, or so it seemed. So I thought, okay, maybe I'm tripping. In front of me, the ERC, the commons area of Barrison Hawley is full with about 100 students. Everyone is prepping for final exams, final projects. So I'm thinking in that split second, okay, maybe I misheard something. And then it just rings out like pop, pop, pop again. And then I don't look, I just run as fast as I can. And in the moment when I start to run, people in the lobby, people in the common area, at first, like people start taking off their headphones. People are initially confused. At the moment I start running, there's 5 or 6 others running at the same time. And then there's just massive, nobody says anything. Was it
kind of chaotic scene, people rushing to the doors? Describe what that was like. We're looking at some video right here of people who are...
Why do you ask people this question? This is really weird to me, to ask someone, what was it like? Were there people running to the doors? What do you think is happening here? Like, why do you need to know? So for those who are not aware, if you have never heard gunfire before, you may not realize that's what you're hearing at that point in time. And so to this student's credit, when he says, no, I didn't realize that's what it was at first, if you're not accustomed to that sound, you may not realize that's what it is. Sometimes people may think, well, maybe it's fireworks or something like that. I mean, this is right before the holidays. A lot of people are getting ready. They're taking their final exams right now, and then they're getting ready to head home for Christmas break. And so it's the last thing that you would expect to happen at this point in time. Let's go on a little bit more. And we do have an update on the suspect there is someone they have in custody. Let's go on.
Hunkering down in the classrooms.
Yeah.
Describe those moments.
So the ERC, the Commons area, Barrison Holly, has 2 exits. So imagine 100 kids trying to rush out through 2 exits.
Wow.
There's not a single word. Nobody is saying anything. It's just silence and gunshots behind us. And so I run out through the left exit, and everyone is just running behind. It's like insane. It's like out of a movie scene. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's even sad this day and age that we have to have active shooter drills on college campuses. I know I worked at the university. I had to go through those. It's just crazy that has to happen. But they did catch someone. Let me go ahead. We have new information here. Thank you so much, Corey, because they just announced this. Let me go ahead and put this up here. This is what I'm talking about in plain sight, because they're not even hiding it anymore, guys. Look at this. Person of interest in Brown University shooting may have connection to DC. So here we go again. Let's go ahead and get into it again. Shout out to Corey and Eric. This information has just been updated. The man police have in custody in connection with the Brown University shooting has been identified as 24-year-old Benjamin Erickson. 3 senior law enforcement officials briefed on the investigation told NBC News. 2 people were killed in the shooting Saturday, and 9 others were injured. Public records show the man's residence as of 2024 is an apartment in D.C. He was also registered to vote in the district as recently as 2023. His party affiliation was listed as statehood. So it sounds like someone who supports DC statehood. Separate records show he was registered to vote in Wisconsin in 2020 and listed military under voter information. Let's go ahead and highlight this here. There it is, folks. Military. Here we go again. Here we go again with another military official. According to a statement from Army spokesperson, Lieutenant Ruth Castro, Benjamin W. Erickson was an infantryman, 11B, in the regular Army from May 2021 to November 2024. He has no deployments and left the Army in the rank of specialist. Initial public records show he does not have a previous criminal record. So let's just pause right here, folks. Time out, flag on the play. The person that they have in custody as the suspect has no criminal record, has former military experience, but no deployments. This is not someone who went to war. Where are all these former military people coming from all of a sudden? Remember when I talked about the National Guard shooting in DC, and we went through that information and found out that that guy was he worked with the US CIA, also military. See, this is what I'm saying. A lot of these people, this connection goes back. And it's almost as if, like I said, it's almost as if someone came along and pressed a button and just activated these guys to just go do chaotic things. That may sound crazy. That may sound silly, but I have not seen this many violent events like this on this scale so close together in such a short period of time. I'm not familiar with this at all. So very, very strange. We have a picture I'll show you in just a second. Thank you so much, Corey. Let's go on a little bit more here. Law enforcement officials say they are looking into what might be an extensive mental health history for Erickson. They say they are also looking into a possible connection to Brown. So what did I tell you guys before about what the military does to people mentally? This is what I've been talking about, right? Like these guys, they sign up, they join these militaries, regardless if they're deployed or not. You have to be in a certain frame of mind when you put on that uniform. This is how I know. Look, some people tell you right off the bat, the military is not for them. They know right off the bat, nope, Not something that I should go try to do. Some people know this, but the type of mindset they put you in, there's a movie you guys need to watch. It's called Full Metal Jacket. Is it Full Metal Jacket? Eric Corey, I think it's Full Metal Jacket. Almost said Full Metal Alchemist as anime. But the movie is Full Metal Jacket. If you haven't seen that movie, watch it so you can see the type of mental space that they put you in as a soldier, even when you're just going through basic training. That is a mind game for your ass. You talk to anyone who has been through basic training, they will tell you they play with your mind. So when these people leave the military, all of these things that they saw and experienced, it just doesn't disappear. You know what I mean? Like, no one who went to Iraq, who is still alive, just forgot about Iraq. Nobody who went to fight in Afghanistan just one day forgets they were there. People don't forget these things. And the way that they play with their minds is very important. Let's go ahead and show you a picture of the suspect here. Brown University mass shooter Benjamin Erickson served in the 201st Expeditionary Military Intelligence Brigade. So this is a picture of him here. Again, a lot of these are going back to military. That's what I was saying. Remember the guy, New Year's Eve, the suspect that they captured, and they said, oh, he was this crazy radical Muslim. He was accused of driving the car through the crowd New Year's Eve in New Orleans. That guy was also former military. What are they doing to these people in the military? Now, it doesn't mean it happens to everyone, but what I'm saying is motherfuckers don't forget they were in the military. You just don't. You might forget that you had that job at Burger King at one point down the road, but you're not going to forget you were in the military. So here we go again. Did someone say Tim Fool? Oh, damn. Are you saying that looks like, oh, wow, Nish. Oh, Nish, people coming with the jokes already. So that's him. It just, I don't, this is the person of interest, the person that they are saying is the suspect. Now, there was another video that I wanted to show you. Let's see if they have it here because they had a video. Yes. Let's see if this looks like the same build because I like to look at the body type to see. Let's look and see.
Building a physics and engineering building on campus inside a classroom, according to officials here who gave press briefings yesterday as we await.
That looks like that could be him. It looks like it's a similar build, but that's the video that is floating around.
Another one later today to get more information. Hearing these students targeted while taking a final exam was unthinkable. I've been to many mass shooting events, Willie, and talking to people who say they couldn't imagine this happening in their town. People here clearly mean that. They say there's violence like this. There's nothing like it, at least in recent memory. We do hope to get more information from police about how this suspect was able to get off campus. At one point, we know there were at least 400 law enforcement officers looking for that individual, and it took several hours for them to finally get a suspect into custody as we await more.
Well, people are asking, how did he get off campus? The video shows him walking down the street right here. I mean, it's not, let me see, right here. You can see him. I mean, he's just walking down the street.
On campus, inside.
Right there. And if nobody saw his face, I mean, like I said, I mean, it's Providence. And it's just, I'm telling you guys, all the signs are out. Like I said, this is happening in plain sight. They aren't even trying to hide it anymore. They're making it so obvious that it's like you have no point but to just say, okay, we really got to push back on this. What is really going on? And like I said, what is the chance that these things would happen so closely back to back like this? What is the chance of that happening? Now, one thing I do want to point out, the president of Brown University, people are coming after the president of Brown University because she didn't know what was happening in the classroom. So I do want to show you guys what the president said here.
DC when it happened and flew right back, and I'm catching up right now.
President, with all due respect, 6 hours after the shooting, and you said you don't know what was going on in that classroom? How does that happen? Were they taking
up right now?
President, with all due respect, 6 hours after the shooting, and you said you don't know what was going on in that classroom? How does that happen? Were they taking an exam? Were they meeting for a club?
I don't know. I don't know.
6 hours later, and you're the president, and you don't know.
I do not know.
Well, that's.
So this actually is not uncommon. The president of the university is not involved with the day-to-day of what's happening on the campus. And then sometimes they're not even there. Like the president of the university, they're meeting with like trustees, the board of trustees, etc. They are not involved in, okay, these classes are taking place this time. That's not really a part of their job. So it's interesting to me that they're like, how do you not know you're the president of the university? They're not paying attention to those types of things. They're just not involved. So I did want to show people that. But the reality is here, folks, here we go again. Another suspect, former military. What does that tell you? What does it tell you? It's unfortunate that people were killed, and it's unfortunate that people are injured. This is all the information I have right now. I do not know why he was at Brown University, allegedly. I don't know. Why Brown? I don't know. Why Providence? Why Rhode Island? I don't know. Like I said, there are other colleges in Providence. Someone mentioned RISD. I forgot about that one too. Rhode Island College Institute School of Design, whatever it is, RISD. I don't know. But it's very clear to me, guys, there's too many of these, and I still call them flags. There's too many of these false flags being set off back to back to back to back. We haven't even reached the end of the year yet. Something is up. Let's go to some of the comments here, ladies and gents. Thank you for the super chat, Measured Man. LOL, Sabby Sabs, that's me. When you asked about the pastor list I sent to you, I took the last month off to deal with some things, but my Oregon boys ready to support you. Oh, okay, you sent that. That's right. I got that email. Thank you. Yeah, Sakina said Rhode Island School of Design, RISD. There you go. And thank you for this one as well. I lost my oldest brother, the 11th soldier, to fall operation enduring Iraqi freedom. When I got out, I spent almost 10 years in therapy. I vowed my sons would never join. Yeah, it does something to you. Let's get the comment there on Rockfin. Hey, hey, hey. All right. Okie dokie. Thank you for the tip on Rockfin, Dave. Thanks and props to Sabby for the varied and deep coverage. You are welcome. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to the next story. Speaking of these attacks back to back, we have a combined one here. Also, over the weekend, it was reported that ISIS attacked 3 American soldiers in Syria. Along with that, there was another attack at Bondi Beach in Australia, which is now being called as an anti-Semitic attack. We're talking about 3 major events here that happened in one weekend, guys. Bondi Beach, ISIS attacks American soldiers in Syria, and now Brown University. I don't think this is a coincidence at all. This is all happening in plain sight. Listen to what Donald Trump said about the ISIS attack.
You know how it happened? It was an ambush, terrible. We also have 3 wounded. They seem to be doing pretty well. But we mourn the loss. These are 3 great people. And it's just a terrible thing. Syria, by the way, was fighting along with us. The new president of Syria is, as they told me, and I'm not surprised.
Their volume isn't that great on this, guys, because there's the helicopter. It sounds like a helicopter nearby. But what he is saying is that there was an ambush attack against those American soldiers. And he said Syria was working along great with us, the president of Syria. Now, let's remember Jolani, who is the president of Syria, who's basically installed by the U.S. government. Let's remember that he was former Al-Qaeda. This guy was the same person that was wanted for years, and they had this reward, like millions of dollars reward, to turn this guy in. And somehow the U.S. government decided to, let's get Jolani and make him our puppet. And they managed to convince a lot of American people that he's this good, great guy now, and he's now the president of Syria. That was all in part of the overthrow of Assad. So now we see in Syria, Israel has made their way in. They're taking over parts of Syria as they plan to do so anyway. But now with a Western puppet installed, they kind of have free reign. And now you have people also, again, once again, being killed in Syria because Israel is just going and wreaking havoc. So there's that. Now you have this report that ISIS went rogue and attacked and ambushed these 3 American soldiers. You know, we've caused so much chaos in the Middle East, and people are surprised that this could even be a thing. And we don't even know if this is all true. But all of these things that are happening aren't happening out of a vacuum, in my opinion. Let's continue here.
He's devastated by what happened. This was an ISIS attack on us and Syria. And again, we mourn the loss and we pray for them and their parents and their loved ones. Very, very sad.
Mr. President, will the U.S. retaliate against ISIS?
Yeah, we will.
And will
And there it is. They asked him, will the U.S. retaliate against ISIS? He said, yeah, we will. So there goes more war. Interesting how that just happens to happen. Just out of nowhere. You haven't really been hearing about ISIS in quite some time. Quite some time. Now, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they're back in the news. And he's like, yeah, we're going to have to go retaliate against them, which means more conflict in the Middle East.
forces are attacked again?
You're going to be seeing.
And should the U.S. still be in?
We will retaliate. Thank you very much.
That is President Trump on the South Lawn just moments ago as he was about to board Marine One for the short trip up to Baltimore for the Army-Navy football game. On some aspects of that, very direct and very blunt in his reaction in terms of retaliation. Michael, your thoughts about what we just heard?
Well, first, I thought it was, of course, appropriate, and that's what the nation wants to hear. They want to hear sorrow, but they want to hear that we're going to go after our adversaries, and you got that out of the president. What was also interesting to me, though, was the president's knowledge of what's going on in Syria generally. Remember, there's a new leader there, and we actually had him over here to the United States, and we've been experimenting with loosening some of the sanctions so that they might be able to grow economically. He's not already talked with this new president of Syria. He's expressing solidarity with him. He's saying they were attacked also in addition to us. So he's sort of growing the conflict outward and saying, you all need to help us. This is against the both of us, and we need to band together and align to make sure that we can kill off ISIS in your territory.
They are already aligned. See, this is the problem with corporate media. He is trying to persuade the American people that there's no alignment there. They were aligned the moment that al-Assad was overthrown and he was installed. And both administrations supported that, by the way. Remember, Assad was overthrown under the Biden at the very end of the Biden administration. Biden and Trump support Jolani being president of Syria, because it points to their greater foreign policy interests in the Middle East. So again, we see this collaboration with both these parties when it comes to the Middle East. But this commentator here is trying to make people think that, okay, they don't work together, but now they're going to have to work together. They've been working together. They've been together. That's how he got there. He didn't wake up one day and was just like, oh, I think I'm going to try to be president of Syria. They installed him. They've been aligned from the jump, from the get-go. So now they'll try to get Syria and, of course, also Israel to jump in here and say, let's fight these guys. We got to fight back against ISIS. You wouldn't even have an ISIS if it wasn't for the overthrow of Saddam Hussein. This is something that they won't say this on corporate media. Of course, the U.S. government isn't going to tell you this. Had the U.S. government had left Saddam Hussein alone, had they kept their nose out of his country and his business, you wouldn't have had ISIS. Once they overthrew Saddam Hussein, that opened the door for ISIS to rise. This is the thing about overthrowing these leaders in other countries. While you may or may not like them, it's really none of your damn business. But for most of them, while those leaders are in power, they were able to keep certain factions like that in check. Saddam Hussein was able to keep an ISIS from forming. But the moment the U.S. government came and they toppled him, boom, bam, boom, there's the ISIS. I would go as far as to say, as the commenter said in the chat, the U.S. basically did create ISIS. So they had a reason to fight him, another reason to go into the Middle East and wreak havoc on more people in another country. And that's how this works. This guy is not going to tell you that. Otherwise, he would not be on Fox News. Ay, ay, ay.
Becca, your thoughts on the tone from the commander-in-chief there?
No, I mean, it's pitch perfect. Wishing well for the families who are obviously just grieving and finding out all about this today. But then also, yes, of course, we are going to retaliate. And it also interesting, I was looking to see what he would say about Ahmed al-Shara, the new president of Syria too. He quickly made the point that he has spoken with him. So look, I mean, it's a risky decision, what we're doing here, but we're trying, we, the United States, are trying to have a country in the region that is, we understand it's not a liberal Jeffersonian democracy. It's still a difficult place, but it's pro-America at this point. It's a huge improvement over Bashar al-Assad, who is now hiding out in Russia, by the way, because he was a puppet of the Iran regime. And so you do want to have but that also puts a lot of pressure and onus on this new regime to make sure that their area is secure for U.S. forces who are going to be operating there. So I think there's still going to be more to come to hear the consequences and hear what else is going to happen with our relationship with that new regime as well.
So 3 American soldiers attacked by ISIS, allegedly, and the response is, let's send more American soldiers there. Guys, look, I know I come from a military family, and I know I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again. Guys, get out of the military. Get out. Do not go risk your life for this country, for this regime. Get out of the military. Just get out. Run as fast as you can. Now, when I say that this is all happening in plain sight, I found it very interesting. Over the same weekend, there was another attack in Australia, and this is all connected, at Bondi Beach. And they are saying this attack is anti-Semitic. And this is what I'm trying to tell you guys. It's all connected. They're trying to raise Israel's influence on the world stage, from the pastors going to Israel to these attacks, one after another, trying to get more people to get on board with Israel and what they want. And the U.S. government is going to use these attacks as an excuse to continue escalating in the Middle East, and also to bring about censorship, which is another thing people need to look forward towards. Listen to this. A gunman killed at least 11 people in an attack on Hanukkah celebration on Sydney's Bondi Beach. Now, this is in Australia, but all this happened in the same day. 2 gunmen attacked a Hanukkah celebration on Sydney's Bondi Beach on Sunday, killing at least 11 people in what the Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese called an act of anti-Semitic terrorism that struck at the heart of the nation. The massacre at one of Australia's most popular beaches followed a wave of anti-Semitic attacks that have roiled the country over the past year. You see where this is going, folks? One gunman was fatally shot by the police, and the second was arrested and in critical condition, authorities said. Police said one gunman was known to security services, but there was no specific threat. At least 29 people were confirmed wounded, including 2 police officers. So here comes the narrative, guys. Here it comes. This gentleman here at Bondi Beach, I believe he is Israeli. Listen to what he says after the attack.
We can kill the Jews. That's the Jews. Our government did nothing. Before Israel did anything. For 3 weeks, Israel didn't do anything. And here, there were marches and celebrations that Jews and Israelis, because not only Jews, all the Israelis were Bedouins killed, Arabs killed, foreign workers killed, German people were killed, like Argentina, everywhere they were killed. And what did Australia do? Our government, Albanese and Penny Wong, gave $25 million to Gaza. Why? To make Hamas stronger and to show people locally that it's okay to kill people. That's why we have it here. We're just celebrating. Kids are celebrating.
So does everybody see what is happening here? So here it comes, folks. Look at all these attacks that are happening. And again, this is Australia of all places. So here we go again. Like I said, I do not believe it is a coincidence that you had these 3 attacks in one weekend, back to back to back. And by the way, Australia supported Israel. Australia supported Israel and continued to support Israel. Ay.
Kids were celebrating. Kids were getting some food. There were a lot of activities like face painting, bubbles, rock climbing. So kids being kids. There were a lot of kids, different age, from under 1 year old to like 15, 16. A lot of kids. There's the shooting stuff happening. Not only kids, adult, elderly people came here to see. It's a kids' party.
Notice he keeps saying it was the kids, it's a kids' party, lots of kids. There are a lot of kids in Gaza too. So again, look at who is prioritized. Now all of a sudden you care about the kids because they're Israeli, because they're like you. They're not the Gaza kids. So does everybody see? So they're doing this thing now where it's like, oh, people sympathize with the kids in Gaza. So maybe, we can make this important to people know that this was a kids party. This was a kids event. And look at how these kids were hurt. But you not care about those Gaza kids.
It's primarily for kids. This person who went there, he knew what he was doing.
And can you talk to me about like the moments of the shooting? So when did you realize?
When I realized, when I saw a dead person. When other people start seeing a dead person, when everybody realized it's not a joke. This is like 7th of October. This is like Nova Festival in Israel. This is exactly that way. That's what people on the Nova Festival, young people came to have fun. That's what they have experienced. Exactly the same. The terrorists came and killed them. Then how people in Australia, I'm talking to all the people, you're ABC, I'm talking to all the people in Australia, you have to stand with Israel. You have to stand with Israel because in Israel, we have exactly the same values as in Australia. We value life. Those people value death.
And there it is. See, look what's happening. So you got to stand with Israel because this happened. That's the narrative, ladies and gentlemen. So you see what he's saying? He said this is like October 7th all over again. Those numbers don't even compare. And it definitely doesn't compare to the number of people that have been killed in Gaza in no way, shape, or form. But again, because it's Israel, because he's Israeli, because it's Israelis, you should prioritize and feel more pity. This is where we're at now, folks, ladies and gentlemen. I told you I had a feeling something like this would happen. Now, I will give kudos to this woman who shut this down immediately. Australian woman completely shut down a Zionist journalist. Listen to this also about the Bondi Beach attack.
The horror of anti-Semitism has been unleashed in Australia and it hasn't been properly dealt with by authorities. And this is where we are now.
I don't want to blame anyone tonight other than the people that perpetrated this horror on our community. No one else is to blame. And I don't want to get into that tonight because we have a community that is in shock, that is grieving. I'm in shock.
So kudos to that woman for not falling for the BS, because that's what she was trying to do. She's like, don't you see this increase in this wave of anti-Semitism that is happening? Don't you see this? And so who jumped in to try to save the day? Well, according to Randy Fine, he is pretending as though the person who did that was apparently Israeli. Listen to this. The religion of peace strikes again. How many Muslim attacks do there have to be until we say enough? angry and brokenhearted for those kids, for those killed for simply praying. But what Randy Fine doesn't tell you, and this is intentional from my opinion, how many Muslim attacks do there have to be until the religion of peace strikes again? Guess who stepped in and put this here to save the day? This is the hero who stopped Bondi Beach shooter. An update on Ahmed from his cousin. Ahmed Al-Ahmed stopped one of the shooters at Bondi Beach. This guy is now seen as a hero. He is Muslim. But Randy Fine doesn't want you to know this. So I'll let you hear what his brother has said. Here's the guy here. He's a hero. And
still he's in the hospital and we don't know exactly what's going inside. But they said the doctor, he's very okay. And next 2 hours, they let us to go in and see Ahmed because he's still inside and he do the operation. But we hope he will be fine. He's a hero, 100%. He's a hero because what we see on the social media, he's like is 100% hero.
To his shoulder?
Yeah, he have 2 shots, one in his arm here and one in his hand.
And have you been able to talk to him today?
No, because I come when I see what's happening, and I come here to see him. But they said he's not allowed to go inside because he has to make an operation, whatever. I'm still waiting to see him.
So what people like Randy Fine are not telling you is that the guy who jumped in to save the day is Muslim. He jumped in to save the Israeli people. But Randy Fine won't tell you that. And this is why they want to get a hold of social media. This is why the US government, they want to crack down on social media because they don't want you to hear what I just showed you. This is really important for people to see this. And on top of that, Benjamin Netanyahu comes onto the stage and parrots this lie, not telling you who actually stepped in to save the people. This is all coordinated. Listen to this. We have seen evil at its worst, and we have also seen Jewish heroism at its best. I saw on the way here a video of he said he saw a video on the way over to this event that he's at of a Jewish person pouncing on one of the murderers. That is not true. The person who did that was Muslim. And here he is spreading this narrative. So people like him, Randy Fine, they get out in front of it and tell people, look, it was one of us who came forward to save our people, when the reality is it was a Muslim man who jumped in to help protect you. And they don't want you to know that. They don't want to hear it because it ruins their entire narrative. It ruins their entire game plan. I would not be surprised if there weren't a couple of agents at that damn beach. Would not be surprised. So it's just lie after lie after lie. And that's why they want to crack down on social media. That's why they want to come forward with these things. So guys, we have got to keep our eye on the ball. We got to pay attention to what is happening. Again, it's happening in plain sight. They're not even trying to hide it anymore. They're not even clever with this anymore. Do they really believe a number of Americans just sitting back here like, oh, wow, all these 3 attacks just happened back to back to back in one weekend? Oh, no, we're under attack. No, most of us have a brain. It's getting crazy out here, folks. Buckle up. Let's go to some of the comments here, and then we'll dive to the next story, ladies and gents. Thank you, Wasim, the same Trump who said he defeated ISIS in first term while helping them. That one. Thank you, Measured Man. You never know the feeling at 6 a.m. doorbell ring. You are home on leave. Your mom gets up, and it's 2 Marines at the door with the folded flag. Yeah. Thank you, Wasim. A rabbi close to Bibi was unalived on Bondi, and they refused to mention a Muslim subdued one of the shooters. That's right. Thank you, B-Man. Australia is really gun-free big time. How did the gun get there? It just smells like Mossad. Thank you, Wasim. Then Bibi goes on air that Australia is to blame for recognizing Palestine, trying to convince Iran is behind it, although they two suitors were Salafist, the same as the government, the current government in Syria. Thank you, Kitty Cat. There's a free documentary on MK Ultra and social engineering that's older, but really illuminating, called Humanity Resources, Social Engineering in the 20th Century. Thank you, Kitty Cat. And thank you for this one. Sorry, stupid autocorrect. Human Resources, Social Engineering in the 20th Century. Thank you. Well, let's get to the next story, shall we? We're doing pretty good on time, guys. I'm actually proud of myself. I'm getting better with covering stories at a faster time. All right. Again, that theme is still in plain sight. And next up is Byron Donalds in plain sight. Byron Donalds is getting grilled and roasted because over the weekend, he attended a pro-Israel event and he shared this information on X, and it did not go the way that he wanted it to go. You can see this here. We are a nation that stands for the freedom, liberty, and opportunity of all Americans. Anti-Semitism will not be tolerated in the Sunshine State or anywhere across America. End of story. Now, let me show you the pictures so you can see what this was. This is the Israel Allies Foundation. And I already know some of the people in the chat, you already know where I'm about to take this. So hold on, because I'm going to tell you about Byron. Here's another picture here. Again, there he is for the Israel Allies Foundation. Anything when it comes to Israel. A whole table of black people right here. So much brainwashing happening. We really gotta do something about this. So some people are wondering, what's the big deal? So first, let's look at some of the comments. So I posted this because I just, that's Byron Donalds for me. And I'm going to show you why. We can see a couple other comments here. Land of Oz said foreign agent alert, warning, foreign agent alerts. This guy said, I strongly oppose anti-Semitism, but I also believe in the First Amendment. How do you propose on stopping anti-Semitism in Florida without attacking free speech? Kingston said, when will you talk about affordability? APAC Shakur. So apparently he's APAC Shakur now. Someone shared here, free speech, and posted the track APAC here. He's getting ratioed in the comments, long story short. And they're showing Thomas Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene 0. And of course, all the puppets along with Byron Donalds, who also is taking money from AIPAC. So here's the thing. Byron Donalds apparently is interested in becoming governor of Florida. He's a kiss-ass politician. This guy just moves with the wind. I don't even really know who Byron Donalds is. He keeps changing, and he's changed over the years. So people need to ask that question. But here's my problem, Byron. While you stand there and you advocate for what Israel needs, because again, this is the Israel Allies Federation, you can support all these things that Israel needs. You'll step out in the front lines for them and fight for them. But let me let you hear what Byron Donalds said when he was questioned about reparations for descendants of slavery. Let's go ahead and bring it in. I told you guys before that there are spoons in Congress. Spoons. So listen to what he said here. There's a couple of videos. This one, when he was questioned about it.
Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, in her view about what would be fair going forward. Watch.
I don't remember which celebrity, but it was actually a celebrity. And I was like, I don't know that that's not necessarily a bad idea. One of the things that they propose is black folk not have to pay taxes. Not only do you owe for the labor that was stolen and killed and all the other things, right? But the fact is, like, we end up being so far behind. But to think that America doesn't owe the descendants of slaves is an error.
Congressman, this would be a new way of kind of formulating an old idea, which would be reparations.
First of all, that's not reparations. Okay. So, Lauren, whoever you are, Laura Ingram, you can fall all the way back because that's not even what reparations means. So pipe that down for one. Two, to Jasmine Crockett, for you even to suggest that as reparations, that tell me you don't really know the history either. Or you do know, or you pretending not to know and just trying to lean in some way, shape, or form. Okay. I see two phonies. Listen to what Byron Donald says to Laura.
It's a bad idea. It doesn't work. How are you going to delineate who gets money and who does not? Or in Jasmine's perspective, who pay taxes and who does not? That's
pause. Forget the taxes part. Whenever it comes to giving something or doing something that is owed to descendants of slavery in this country, Byron Donalds comes out against it. He has done this multiple times. You know why? Because it does not include him. That's why he comes out against it. But at the same time, Byron Donalds can go out here and advocate for and fight for and shill out for what needs to be given to Israel, what we should do for them, what we should do for the Israelis. But when it comes to black people in this country, he is not in. This is what I mean when I say we have spoons in Congress. He says that reparations does not work. It seemed to work for Jewish people. Do you say it don't work for them, Byron? No, of course not. He's like, you got to figure out who's a part of which lineage. There's something called a census. I know where I come from. Byron knows where he comes from. But he wants you to believe that this is not doable. He's a spoon. For those who are not aware, what I mean by spoon, the word that I want to say, we cannot say on here, but it rhymes with spoon. So that's Byron Donalds. You ain't got to agree with Jasmine Crockett or not. It don't matter. The point that is being made here is how he is willing to break his back and bend over for Israel and for what they need for their people. But when it comes to black people, nah, I'm all out, bud. No, can't do that. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. And this is how you end up with black people perpetuating white supremacy. And they sit up there and look you right in the face and tell you, you have representation.
a major problem right there. But at the end of the day, what you really want is an economic system with whether you're black, Hispanic, white, doesn't matter. You have an ability to build generational wealth so you can pass that on to your kids.
Does Byron Donald, when he goes to these events, these pro-Israel events, does he tell them the same thing? Does he say to them, no, we're not going to advocate just for your group. What we really need to do is we need to come up with a system that benefits everybody. Does he say that to them? No, he doesn't, or he wouldn't be there. That's the point. That wasn't the only time. I'll show you another time. He was at this event in Georgia. Let me bring this up. This is why Byron Donalds, this guy said this is why Byron Donalds should be VP. The guy handles himself well against anyone, right? Whatever. Listen to what Byron Donalds says to this guy who stands up at this event here in Georgia. So this was a black event that Byron was a part of. And when this guy brings up reparations, I want you to hear what Byron Donalds says.
And Trump. Dr. King said at the tail end of his life, he said
We're going to Washington to get our check. You understand? So now, what is your position on reparations?
Thank you. Great question. Thank you. If we could all be quiet, let them answer. Thank you. Thank you.
So Byron Donalds is up here on this stage with a couple of other peeps. So listen to this.
I'll be direct. First of all, I'll be direct with you. I'll be. We don't want to hear the Jim Crow stuff. Listen, I'm gonna be direct with you. I don't believe in reparations. I don't.
For who? Because see, here's the thing. Would Byron Donalds stand up in front of a room at one of these events for Israel allies or for Jewish Americans in this country? Would he stand up at one of these events and tell them that he doesn't believe in reparations? No, he's just against it for us. And that's the problem that I have. That's what I'm saying about being inconsistent. He's not consistent about it. Let him finish.
Well, then you don't believe in the black community. That's not. I will tell you, brother in the hat with the glasses on, that's not true. What I will tell you is that there's a question if you're going to get into the full economics of reparations right now. Question number one, of all black people in the country, how many of them are actually descendants of slaves? Because you've had a lot of immigration over the last 100 years in America.
Pause. Can't we say similar things about the Jewish American community as well? Can't we say similar things? So do you see how when it comes to us, it's all this, I don't know, like gymnastics that is done to say no. This is why I take issue. My thing is like, if you stand principled and you consistent with this, I'll still disagree with you, but I'm not going to clown you the way I'm clowning Byron Donalds. I'm clowning Byron Donalds because he would not say this to the other group that he advocates for. That's why I'm clowning him. And could you imagine what would happen if Byron Donalds said that to them? Oh, honey, the outrage. People need to start pushing, and not just black people, everybody need to start checking people on this. Start asking people, oh, were you against this for the Chinese, the Japanese Americans that were part of the internment camps? Because they were given reparations and it was given to their descendants under Ronald Reagan. Were you against the reparations that have been given to people who were survivors of the Holocaust? Because here's the thing with me, I'm not against any of that. When there's a harm, I think, yeah, you should pay the repair. And for people who will say, well, it was Germany that paid the repair. Honey, Columbia University just implemented reparations because they had staff members that were frightened or said that they were emotionally harmed by the pro-Palestinian protests on campus. That just happened. So as I said before, it's only when it comes to us.
American slavery. There was slavery in the Caribbean. The one brother came up, he said that he's first generation, the brother in the Congo, because his parents came from Jamaica. My grandmother is from Jamaica. So my grandmother's Jamaican. I know exactly what you're talking about.
So there you go. And that's why he's against it. He's against it because it wouldn't benefit him. Okay. But you are out here advocating for Israel and for the Israelis and for that to be a safe place for Jewish people in the world. Those benefits aren't given to you either. So this is how you know that the paid puppets, guys, the paid puppets. There's no reason why. And anybody, I tell you, please do not go support and vote for these people who say they are there and they represent you, but you see they do not even put the community first. He is putting Israel, the Jewish American community first, above you, before you. He would never tell them that they can't have reparations. I bet you he would never even sit up there and tell Columbia University, it's not right for you to give out that money to them, but let one of these universities give out money to one of us. A spoon A spoon. This guy at one point was a Democrat. He done been all over the place. Was a Democrat, switched up on things to see if he could get into politics. He just kind of moved any kind of way so that he can get his space, his foot in the door of politics and make money. I consider Byron Donalds to just basically be a con artist. That's what I think he is.
My mother was born in the United States. I'm born in the United States. So this is a fundamental question. You a black man, I'm a black man. Am I eligible for reparations right now? I would say the answer is no, I'm not. Because my family is from Jamaica. My father's Panamanian. His grandparents were born in Panama. My father immigrated to the United States.
So then you would go to Jamaica and you would work with the claim that they have there, which they have been advocating for as well, to get reparations from the UK. I don't understand why this is so difficult for people to understand. So because he's not eligible, he doesn't think it should happen. Spoon mentality.
That made me eligible. So you got to go through all of that. That's step one. Step number two, slavery under federal law was ended in 1865. The Jim Crow era ended, obviously, with the 64 Civil Rights Act, the 65 Voting Rights, etc. The fundamental question is, you've now had 3 generations of black people come up in the United States. As a black kid today, does he get reparations? Third question. Hold on now. Third question. You got a lot of other people in the United States. Asians, are they responsible for the cost of the slave trade? No, because they're of Asian descent. People of Indian descent. People who are Hispanic in the United States, the largest growing population in the United States. And of course, the dominant population is still the white population.
So here he is bringing up all these other groups. But when he speaks at these events, these pro-Israel events, he is not bringing up other groups. They are talking about what they want and what is best for their community. But every time we bring us up, it's all these other groups of people. And that is the problem that I have. I think, of course, absolutely. Should Jamaica get reparations for slavery from the UK? Absolutely. Which I believe they told this to Prince William's face. Absolutely. But do you see how he twists himself into this pretzel to bring up all these other groups as to explain why it should not happen for descendants of slavery here? But you'll never see him do this when it comes to fighting for Israel and for Jewish Americans in this country. And that's the problem that I have. You will never see him. Let me go ahead and show you this one here, because here's another one. People remember, James shared this. Byron Donalds said, we need to take care of Israel immediately. No AIPAC Shakur, we need to take care of Americans immediately. So here was Byron Donalds. We need to take care of Israel immediately. And if Biden and Schumer block this aid again, then that's on them. Biden has a decision to make. What's more important? You see, none of these no pretzel twisting when it comes to Israel. Here's another one here. Listen to him here.
Allies like Israel, our greatest ally in the Middle East. We should always stand with them. We must always stand with them. And that's what an America First foreign policy means. Support for Israel is what matters right now. There is no question and there's no doubt with me. The people who hate Israel, they hate America too.
So that was him also at the Republican Jewish Coalition. Again, would he ever stand up there and tell them, I'm sorry, but yeah, it don't benefit me, so I don't support this. Oh, I'm sorry. Also in America, we have Asians, Latinos, white people. We have all these other groups, and none of those groups, you can't say all of those people contributed to what happened in the Holocaust. The Holocaust happened, Germany assumed responsibility for that, as they should have. But you would never hear him twist himself like that in front of a pro-Israel event. And that's my problem. So whether you agree with reparations or not, my thing is the consistency is important for me. So you got all this energy, Byron, to fight for another group of people who continues to be very racist towards other groups of people that are not like them. Let's not forget Chris Smalls was beaten and choked when he was taken hostage by Israel. Let's not forget the racial slurs that they called him. Let's not forget most of the people who are in those prisons are Palestinian or Ethiopian. And for whatever reason, Chris Smalls explained Filipinos. I don't know who this guy is. Okay. Byron be out there all over the damn place. Like I said, it was revealed at one point he was a Democrat, and then he decided to switch over to the red team because he wanted to have a political career. I don't even think Byron Donalds believes what he says or what he even ran on. I think he's an opportunist, and I think he's a con. At the end of the day, this is what we have. At the end of the day, we have someone saying this. He even flip-flopped on immigration. Who is this guy?
Modernize a lot of these different visa programs. Do all that work. Do it, get it done. And I think the American people, whether you're liberal or conservative, will say, okay, now that our immigration system is sound and modernized and we've secured our country, now let's take a look at the people who are here illegally. And I think the American people, we're great people. We are good people. We're a beneficent people. And with those people who are here working hard, doing those things that they should be doing is just as good neighbors and good people, we would make them and put them on this pathway to citizenship. But I think the pathway to actually fixing immigration in our country is possible, but we have to have honest conversations with ourselves. We got to have honest brokers, frankly, on both sides of the aisle, because we can come to a solution that actually respects citizenship in our country and actually creates a stable legal immigration process in our country.
This guy flip-flops so much. He was cheering on people getting kicked out. He was cheering on the mass deportations. Who are you? I don't know if he's Steve or Stefan. And for the younger people, if you never saw the show Family Matters, watch Family Matters. Is this Steve Urkel or is this Stefan? We don't even know who you are. But it's all out there in plain sight, because this is who Byron Donalds really is. This is him. All in all, this is Byron Donalds. And you just can't, I don't know how else to put it. But he will hug and kiss up and suck up to whoever he can to have this political career all over the damn place. That's him at the pro-Israel events. Oh, Massa loves you. That's him. Don't be like Byron. Let's go to the comments here, ladies and gents. Thank you for the super chat, a lady. Byron's mom is from Jamaica, so team no reparations. Thank you, Kenman. Little or big spoon? Thank you, Measured Man. Ninja, you went to a private school that cost your parents $60,000 a year. We are not the same. I was told I better eat at school because nothing to eat was at home. I'm out. 504. I put food in my pockets. Thank you, Wasim. They gave reparations to Japanese Americans for putting them in internment camps and stealing their property. So he is wrong regarding Asians. Yeah. Thank you for this, Wasim. That meme also involves 2 Zio actors. Oh, damn. That's right. You are right about that. Damn. Okay. Quick announcement, and we'll get to our final story here. Folks, if you are around this Saturday, we do have our second annual winter clothing and food drive giveaway, December 20th. If you want to come volunteer, we'd love to see you there. From 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. at Grove Hall Library, 41 Geneva Avenue, Dorchester, Massachusetts. So we're giving away clothes, food. You guys know how this works. This is our Boston Mutual Aid group. If you want to donate items, you can send them to our P.O. box here listed below. Items that we would need at this point, because we have a lot of clothes, diapers, blankets, maybe some kids' clothes, non-perishable food, toiletries. This is really important. If you are sending any type of feminine hygiene products, please do not send tampons, send pads. This is something that was told to us by homeless shelters. It's really important that you don't send tampons, you send pads instead. And you can send it to the P.O. box here, 15773 Boston. All right. That's this Saturday. Don't mail anything. If you're going to send something to the P.O. box, don't send it too late because we may not get it in time. So thank you guys so much. And some of you already received that because I sent it in my newsletter. Let's go to the last one, Eric and Corey. All right, let's get to the nitty gritty. The nitty gritty, the nitty gritty. Ooh, up on the nitty gritty gonna go. I saw that one time on X, and I was like, I never heard this song before, but it looks kind of cool. And apparently, the nitty gritty was a dance or something. It was kind of cool to see. I don't think people dance like that anymore. All right, let's get into it. Again, in plain sight. Erika Kirk Town Hall took place Saturday evening. And Bari Weiss has gone out of her way, even before the town hall aired, to basically come onto CBS this morning and explain to people how she kind of sees Erika as like this deity. It's really weird to watch the framing that is happening here, folks. Bari Weiss is pretending as though Erika Kirk is the only woman in this country that has lost their husband. And that's where we're at right now, folks. So let's show you what she said. Bari Weiss here said on CBS this morning prior to that town hall, before it was aired live. Listen to this.
Well, she is a deeply religious Christian, and that's a theme that came across quite powerfully in the conversation. I'm not Christian, but bearing witness to something that in her is clearly very deeply held and sincere was quite powerful, and powerful for everyone in the audience. I think the thing that was baffling for many of us that watched that, I mean, I remember watching it and thinking, I can't understand this. What does this mean? She was able to explain the distinction between forgiveness as a personal choice to almost let go of something, to not let it be this anvil around her, and forgiveness in the mode of her faith, and to make a distinction between that and her desire for justice, which is quite different. It doesn't mean that she forgives it doesn't mean that she does not want this alleged murderer
to be held accountable.
And I think that's the really, really important distinction. Well, she is a deeply religious.
Why is Bari Weiss pretending as though Erika Kirk is some type of deity? She's a deeply Christian person. A lot of people are deeply Christian. Why is she? Notice how they are propping this woman up on a pedestal here. She has this ability to deeply forgive while at the same time wanting accountability. Okay. What is the issue? What is the problem? Like why is that something that needs to be said? And notice the way that Bari Weiss was saying it, the way she was expressing it. She is trying to really put Erika Kirk on a pedestal. And that is not an accident. I want to show you this one here as well. She goes a step further on CBS this morning and talks about the need to censor people because of all of this. Listen.
He was murdered 3 months ago. If you go on the internet, and frankly, it is leapt beyond the internet now into real life, and you talk to many seemingly sane people, they do not believe that the 22-year-old named Tyler Robinson that has been arrested and charged with his murder is the actual murderer.
Who did they think? Yeah.
They believe any number of theories. They believe that Erika Kirk was his Mossad handler and that he was killed by a foreign government. They believed that she was tracked by Egyptian planes. They believe that the rings on her hand are signs of Illuminati. The theories themselves are absurd. What matters is that, because she speaks about this in the interview, the brain rot that social media is allowing to spread, the way that it is detaching us from humanity, from our ability to talk to one another and our ability to discern the truth from just out and out lies, is something that is incredibly important as a theme, I think.
That's what
I want everyone to pay close attention to what she's really saying. She's calling for the censorship of social media because they don't want people to think on their own. They don't want you to come up with your own conclusions, your own ideas. They want you to believe the narrative that is told to you. And they see social media as a threat to that. Barry Weiss is no exception. There's others who believe this as well. Hillary Clinton was just put on blast for also basically saying similar things there as well. This is happening all in plain sight. The reason why this interview happened with Barry Weiss and Erika Kirk is because Barry Weiss is there to make sure that people believe the narrative from the FBI and don't question it, because if you're questioning it, you're questioning the government and you're also questioning Israel. She also hosted this interview because she wants to give Israel a spotlight, which you'll see. I'm going to show you that in just a second. And she wants people to go along with Israel and what Israel is doing. And in fact, let's go ahead and get into the first clip from it. People have to know it's not because, oh my gosh, I just feel so sorry for this woman. She just lost her husband. No. Oftentimes, particularly within corporate media, there's always some type of agenda. Sometimes that agenda is more pronounced and sometimes it is hidden. And with Barry Weiss in particular, she is known to be a snake. Well, we could have to do a whole episode one day to talk about her journalist career. But it's this idea of, I give you this platform, you get this message out there, and this in turn helps my cause. So both of them are Zionists. Barry Weiss supports what Israel is doing. We know this through her outlet, the Free Press, as well. So she is now editor-in-chief of CBS News, and she is continuing to push that Zionist narrative. Let's get into the first part of this town hall, which, by the way, as I explained to you guys a couple days ago, everyone there has been pre-selected. There are no random people at this town hall. This town hall is scripted, just like a lot of political town halls often are. Keep that in mind when you listen to this.
I want to talk about discernment.
Yes.
Okay. Being able to separate truth from lies, reality from unreality. A 22-year-old man named Tyler Robinson has been arrested and charged with the murder of your husband. And yet there are a huge number of conspiracy theories, you might call them brain rot, that are spreading right now online about the actual story behind the reality. One, people say that Tyler Robinson was actually a MAGA Republican. Or two, some people say you were actually a Mossad agent sitting in front of me and you were Charlie's handler and Israel killed Charlie.
Right.
Other people say that a number of men in the crowd were wearing maroon T-shirts, and this signifies that his killing was an elite airborne operation, whatever that means. They say that the rings on your fingers, which are
my kids'
your kids' initials,
my wedding band, the Medal of Freedom, my engagement ring.
But apparently they symbolize some kind of secret plot. There's also a new theory that Egyptian aircraft have been tracking you. What is going on? Why are there so many conspiracies spreading about what seems to be a pretty open and shut case?
Because it's not an open and shut case. Barry Weiss is starting this narrative here. So her narrative is she's telling massive amounts of people who ever watch this that the narrative that Tyler Robinson did this and it's all on him. That is the truth. And that's the only thing that you should believe. You can't ask questions about Israel. You can't dive into questions about Charlie Kirk's text messages before he passed away. You can't dive into any of those things. And to say in front of Erika Kirk that, oh, well, people think you're a Mossad agent, as if someone who is sitting right there will tell you that they are. Now, I don't know if she is or isn't, but I know she ain't gonna sit up there and tell you that she is. Listen to her response.
This is the first time that we have seen evil on display where we have social media at our fingertips. Something so evil that happened, people are wanting answers immediately. They are wanting to figure out how to wrap their mind around this. Egyptian planes.
Egyptian
planes.
Do you believe that Tyler Robinson murdered your husband?
Yes, I do.
Why do you think it is so hard for so many people to believe that reality?
Because the FBI was not transparent. Because we don't trust the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Because we know how you guys also work hand in hand with Israel. We don't trust this. Why would people trust the same organization that tried to tell you who really killed MLK, Malcolm X, Fred Hampton, and didn't mention themselves? Why would we trust that organization, right?
Because it's too simple. Again, everyone always has to think there's more to the story. Well, sometimes there's not. I've seen the autopsy report. I've seen our case pulled together. I've been in constant contact with our lawyers, the prosecuting team. I've seen it all. And let me tell you this. Why in the world, why should we, prior to the trial, lay all of our hands and cards on the table for the defense team to see, to somehow then, I don't even know what they would do with it. But what I will say, and I want to get on the Egyptian plane thing, we'll take a flight on that for a second. What I will say is what I'm worried about, and I'm fascinated, just from a legal standpoint, to see how the United Healthcare trial pans out. And I say that because this is the first time where we are seeing the implications.
You're talking about Luigi Mangione.
Correct. I prefer never to say any of their names. They do not even deserve the ounce of oxygen and breath out of my body. But
oh, girl, I know you coming for that Oscar tonight. Give her the Oscar. Give her the award. I do not dare say their name. I do not dare say it ever. To say thy name is to be in shame. Give her that award, ladies and gentlemen.
What I mean is it's fascinating to see how social media will impact that court case, just how it might impact mine.
Are you nervous he's not going to get a fair trial?
I'm nervous that there could be, they'll say we can't find a fair jury. Like they're going to taint the jury pool. And in that case.
That's how widespread you think these conspiracies have gone.
Yes.
That's how mainstream they become. Okay.
Egyptian planes.
You want to talk about Egyptian planes?
Okay. I was pregnant for 90% of those trips. Mind you, I've never, all those places they said I've traveled, I've never been. I mean, I've been, but I'm not within those states that they've.
But you even said you need to.
No, but this is, yeah, but I do on that one. Only because from a humor standpoint, I intentionally, when I was pregnant, hid. Not because I was embarrassed, not because I didn't want anyone. Yes, we did keep it very private, but it's because it was a moment very sacred. I was growing a human inside of me, my baby.
Hold up, hold the phone. Ladies and gentlemen, stop the press. She was having a baby. She was pregnant. She was growing a human. Oh my God, where did they do that at? Oh no. As if no one has ever had a baby. As if no one else has ever grown a human inside of them. Why is this said this way? As if this is some unusual feat. This is so weird to me, man. This is so weird. I was growing a human inside of me. Okay, a human, yes, that's common. She said it as if she was growing like a squirrel inside. It was just weird to me. So much acting, man.
The world that Charlie and I live in is very toxic at times.
Yeah.
And when you are growing a beautiful child in you, I don't want to be around it. I want to enjoy eating my In-N-Out burger and my hot fudge sundae. That's what I want to do. I'm pregnant and I have 9 months to own it. You really think I'm going to be on an Egyptian plane while I am wanting to be with my In-N-Out burger and my chocolate milkshake? No, I'm not. So if you want to go through my flight log, go right ahead. It's very boring. You say I was here on this date. I have a photo in my phone to prove that I actually was in the hospital because I was having contractions. So game on.
You know, it's interesting. She said that she wasn't on any Egyptian plane because that's actually not what was said. Uh-oh. That is not what was said. In fact, Candace responded to that. She picked up on that. Let me see. Can I bring that one in? Yeah. This right about here. Candace responded. She quoted her and said, "No one accused Erika or Charlie of flying on Egyptian planes, and no, you were not pregnant for the last 4 years." Uh-oh. Oh. Maybe we missed something. Listen again.
I'm nervous that there could be, they'll say we can't find a fair jury. Like they're going to taint the jury pool. And in that case, that's how widespread you think these conspiracies have gone. Yes, that's how mainstream they become. Okay, Egyptian planes. You want to have that one? Egyptian planes. Okay, I was pregnant for 90% of those trips. Mind you, I've never, all those places they said I'd travel, I've never been. I mean,
She was pregnant for 90% of those trips, but no one said that she flew on Egyptian planes. When Candace covered that story, she said that there were Egyptian planes that were tracking Charlie and Erika. She never said she flew on those planes. So what is Erika talking about? I don't understand. I'm a little bit confused. It seems like she might have given away some information that nobody was really, and you know, Barry Weiss just doesn't catch this at all. That does not make any sense. And Candace says she was not pregnant for the last 4 years. Let's go to the next one here. Clint Russell said, I never bought the Erika is Mossad arguments, but having a likely Mossad asset like Barry ask her this question makes me wonder. Also, this entire interview is a disaster, so scripted and fake. TPUSA is in trouble, just the truth.
And yet there are a huge number of conspiracy theories, you might call them brain rot, that are spreading right now online about the actual story behind the reality. One, people say that Tyler Robinson was actually a MAGA Republican. Or two, some people say you were actually a Mossad agent sitting in front of me and you were Charlie's handler and Israel killed Charlie.
Right.
Other people say that a number of men in the crowd were wearing maroon T-shirts and this.
So they're talking about that part. You know what I found out recently, and I didn't know about this. The story was that Erika Kirk met Charlie Kirk in Israel, right? Someone sent this to me, and I have to check this. You guys let me know. Someone sent this to me, and they told me that, well, no, she had actually met him before. I guess this was prior to Trump's, right around Trump's 2016 campaign, that she had met him before at a Trump event before seeing him again in Israel. So I don't know what's going on all there. I don't really know. But all I know is her saying that she didn't fly on those planes. It's just weird because no one said that you did. Let's get to the other part here where she tells Candace to stop.
The podcaster Candace Owens, okay? At one time, a friend of Charlie's, at one time, an employee of Turning Point. She has been one of the main peddlers of these conspiracies, and she is making a huge amount of money on it. She is building her business off of these lies. What do you want to say to her and the other people that are putting these lies out into the world right now?
So that was set up by Barry Weiss to smear Candace Owens. And then also, of course, to say, well, she's profiting off of what she's doing, and to call Candace a liar. But Barry Weiss doesn't call out or talk about the lies that she's been telling for years as someone who worked in corporate media. You know, this woman put out a tweet. It's probably still there. Professor Rafir. He was one of the professors that was killed in Gaza. Barry Weiss put a message out on Twitter prior to his death. He was killed just like that. That's Barry Weiss. You don't get to be in some of these spaces in corporate media without telling some lies, going along with the narrative that the State Department wants you to go along with. But she set that all up.
Stop. That's it. That's all I have to say. Stop.
The podcaster.
So do you see? And she called her out by name. Notice when Erika did the interview on Fox News with Faulkner, Faulkner never said Candace Owens' name. Barry Weiss said her name. So all a setup, right? Right in plain sight. Let's go to another one, because I told you there's a bunch of them here. This part right here. Erika Kirk explains that she is very worried that due to these fake conspiracy theories that it will taint the jury pool. So we talked about that one. And that's the Egyptian plane part. Okay, so I did show you that one. I'm sorry. So then it goes back to this part. The correct statement the world was looking for. I actually had no idea there were Egyptian planes that were there that day, and I have no idea why they seem to have crossed into so many cities that Charlie or myself or other TPUSA faith people were speaking in. It could vary. Sorry, guys, I had to sneeze. It could very well just be a coincidence, but I obviously sent that right over to the FBI just in case it's not. We're leaving no stone unturned. So that's what Candace was saying, the response that people were looking for from Erika, right? Not the whole, I never flew on those planes. No one said that you did. And this was scripted too. Like they already knew what the questions, she knew what the questions were going to be. So I don't know how they fell for this one. Here's another one from the interview. What women should do. This one really cracked me up. Get a load of this one.
Erika, you have made a lot of comments that a lot of people have noticed about women, suggesting, you know this, right? Suggesting that women should get married young, that they should have children young, that they should prioritize family over their careers. And at the same time, you are now doing both. You now have 2 young children, I think both under the age of 3. And you're the CEO and chairwoman of Turning Point. Square that for us. Some people look at you and say, you know, she's trying to make it a binary choice. You can be the trad wife or the girl boss, but look at her. She's having both. What do you say to them?
Right. Well, I didn't.
Why is Barry Weiss pretending as though Erika Kirk is the only woman that has kids and also runs a company? This is what I was talking about. Keep in mind, when this aired, there was the Brown active shooter situation that was going on, and this is what CBS News was doing. Look at you. You're a girl boss. And I hate that, by the way. I'm not a fan of that whole girl boss thing, because I don't think we should be pushing people to be the boss. I think we should be pushing people to work together collectively to establish worker co-ops so that everybody benefits, not just you at the top and bling bling. Anywho, your girl boss, you have kids, as if she's the only person to do this. This is what I was talking about. Listen to what Erika says. This is the funny part.
Ask for this. Obviously it's a blessing that I view it as a blessing. It's a duty to my husband. But I was very happy being a stay-at-home mom. There's nothing wrong with being a mother. There's actually more beautiful and emotional and powerful job title, if you will, being a mother. And for me, I experienced what it was like living in New York, living that boss babe culture. But when I met Charlie and we had our babies, I was in it. That was all hands on deck. I would take that world in a heartbeat. Always.
And you got the money to take that world. This is the part that's hilarious to me. I don't know anyone that can afford to stay home. I don't have one friend that can be a stay-at-home parent. Not one. All my friends have to work. My friends are not millionaires. Erika Kirk is a millionaire. She's loaded. These people are loaded. So yeah, you can just stay home like that. The rest of us, we ain't got it like that. So let's stop pretending this is something that everyone can do, especially today with the state of the economy. When you're rich, you can stay home. I'm just going to stay home and take care of my kids. The days of one parent working and the other one being able to stay at home with the kids, I mean, I haven't seen that since I was a kid. And even then, when I was old enough and I went to kindergarten, my mom went back to work. So this is hilarious to me.
But you know what? There was never any daylight between Charlie and I, and his mission was my mission. So stepping into this role is not so much a job title. This is not a 9-to-5 for me. This is something that I'm very passionate about because it's still a remaining breathing version of my husband, this Turning Point USA. So this organization is not just a company to me. And the staff and employees are not staff and employees, they're family.
There we go with they are family again. Remember what I told you about the whole they are family? Candace pointed this out as well. When you go to that level and you say, well, these coworkers, my coworkers are my family, the whole staff is my family. Well, then if you criticize that organization, you criticize the company, then she can say that you're criticizing her family, and then it looks poorly on you. But I think a lot of people are not falling for this. I mean, and how far does this family extend, right? It's just don't talk about them. They're my family. Don't talk about them at all.
And so for me, it's a lot different and a lot deeper than a career. This is very personal. But yes, it is hard. But at the same day, it takes a village. And I have one heck of a village.
You sure do. And you got a lot of damn money. Like, let's keep it real. So yeah, she has a village to help her raise her kids and help support her. A lot of people do not. So when Erika tells people have kids young, start families, these things cost money. It's easy to do that when you already got the money. She got the money like that. A lot of people today don't. That's why a lot of the younger kids are not getting married. That's why they're not buying homes, because they ain't got it like that. So it's easy to say, do all these things when you have the money. Believe it or not, there's more. A lot of people are making fun of this, you guys. Like, it was embarrassing, I think, for CBS. Listen to what she said here about what do you want your kid to be.
I will never agree with political violence. My husband is a victim of it. I'm a victim of it. But what I'm trying to say here is that we can blame everyone else. We have to look in the mirror. When you become a father, when you become a mother, how are you raising your kids? Are you taking responsibility, or are you giving them a device and saying, go down that rabbit hole? I'm trying to go to Pilates class. You can just sit in the corner and look at your iPad or look at your phone and go down that rabbit hole and see what you can learn from that instead of being a parent. So my call to action from that is parents, step up. Do you want your kid to be a thought leader or an assassin?
Oh, dear God, because those are the only two options in the world. And that's what drove me crazy. So now you're a bad parent if your kid, you know, those are the two choices that you have, guys. Either your kid's going to be a thought leader or they're going to be an assassin, according to Erika here. They can't be anything else. Everybody can't be a leader. You can't have too many leaders. There are going to be people who are followers. So you see the extreme of this here? Either you're going to be a thought leader, and what thoughts are those, Erika? What thoughts do you want those kids to lead with? I wonder. Or they're going to end up being an assassin. If the teleprompter is not noticeable enough, and I said to myself, she either reading from a teleprompter, she reading something. And you're going to see in just a second, because someone took a screenshot of it and it looks a little obvious. Hold on.
That's where we're at.
Do you think our political leaders have a responsibility to turn the temperature down right now?
Well, I think everyone has a responsibility to do that, and I'm doing my part. I'm not in control of other people.
So see, she didn't want to criticize Trump. Y'all see that, right? That's what that is. She don't want to criticize Trump. So it's like, I think everybody has a responsibility of doing that. Yeah, whatever. Girl, bye. Another one here. This guy is asking about Israel. And ding, 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 ding. This is what it all comes down to, folks. Erika Kirk openly declares herself an ally of Israel. That's after this guy here asked about Israel hatred. And of course, he has on the yellow ribbon here. So does everybody see? Barry Weiss has turned CBS News into Israeli news. That's what this is. Okay? Listen to this here.
Charlie always would say very clearly, Jew hate was brain rot. He would always say it. We've been to Israel twice together. And to be able to walk in the place where our Lord walked and see the Bible come to life in Technicolor, how could you hate that place? How could you hate the Jewish people?
Whoo! You guys know I'm burning up, right? So first of all, there are many Bible scholars that say that's not even the spot. That's not even, again, modern day Israel and biblical Israel. I did a whole video about this, how these are two different things, right? And the fact that she's trying to compare Jesus to the people who came from Europe, the Zionists who came from Europe, and it's hilarious to me. How could you hate those people, she says. Well, let me say something here, Erika, because you know what's interesting? They have all this emotion, all this compassion for the Israelis, but these same damn people will look me and my family members in the face and say, you need to do something about that Black culture. But they got all this love and compassion for these white Europeans cosplaying as indigenous people in Israel.
Why? Because you need to fulfill a conspiracy theory. I'm wrapped in, people say I'm a part of conspiracy theories all the time. It's sick, and it needs to stop. We are human. No one is perfect. No Christian is perfect. No Jew is perfect. No Muslim is perfect. We are broken, sinful humans in need of a Lord and Savior. And that's why it is so important to give your life to the Lord.
Oh boy, and there it is. There you go, folks. There it is. So 1,000 pastors go to Israel to capture that message and send it back to their congregations right here in the United States. Then you have Erika Kirk say, this is what you all got to do. You got to give your life over to the Lord, and then you'll understand. And then you could come in and appreciate Israel and support Israel. I'm trying to tell you guys, Bari Weiss has turned CBS News into Israel News. That's what this is. That's why she was given that position. And that is why she did this interview with Erika Kirk, to get more people to have empathy and sympathy for Israel through the disguise of a grieving widow who is blotting her eyes throughout the interview. She is using Erika Kirk to get support for Israel. These people have no shame.
Because once you do that and you fully surrender to the Lord, you have no room in your heart for hate. And so, sir, I am so sorry what happened to your daughter. I pray that does not happen, and I pray that that is something that we can somehow extinguish in this world. But we are living in enemy-occupied territory, and every single day we need to guard ourselves, guard our minds, guard our heart, and the best way to do that is reading God's word. And you cannot separate the Old Testament from the New Testament.
There it is. What I tell you guys. What did I tell you? See? There it is. Read God's word so that you can come out and support Israel. So there you go, folks. There you go. It all looks so fake. Someone did ask about Donald Trump's rhetoric. This guy, I do want to point this out. The guy that is about to appear here, he was the last person to ask Charlie Kirk a question before he was shot. So this is that guy who I had just found out is also his father works for the Jimmy Fallon show. Interesting. Jimmy Kimmel, sorry, not wrong Jimmy, works for the Jimmy Kimmel show. So I find that interesting. He's a producer for that show. Listen.
Erika, as you know, the last person that Charlie ever spoke to was a Utah Valley student named Hunter Kozak. He was asking Charlie a question that day when he was shot, and he's here tonight, and he wants to ask you a question.
Hi there. Erika, I want to tell you how much I appreciate your calls for peace and unity. And I'm likewise horrified by the people in my so-called camp who were cheering about Charlie's murder. I believe that they stoke the flames of violence. But even worse is when powerful, influential people on either side of the aisle stoke the flames. When they do it, the flames can become an inferno. And this leads me to Donald Trump, the most powerful and influential person on earth, who has more responsibility than anyone else to put the flames out. Just last month, President Trump called on 6 Democratic lawmakers to be tried for sedition, which he clarified was punishable by death. He then reposted a simple message: hang them. I think that you've been making strides to bring peace to our country, and that Turning Point has been asking Democrats to decry the individuals who cheer for violence. I have and will continue to decry them. But any good faith effort to stop political violence must hold both parties to the same standard and expectation. So in that spirit, will you condemn the violent rhetoric of Donald Trump, the most powerful and influential person on earth?
Now, FYI, just a reminder, they already knew the questions, right? So people have to know. That's why I said it's a lot of acting. They already knew the questions. Sometimes in these types of events like town halls, like the people won't agree to doing it unless they already know what the questions are ahead of time. This was all scripted. So she knew what Bari Weiss was going to mention. She knew what these people were going to ask. The questions are selected ahead of time. So that's why I said she want that Oscar, honey.
I appreciate your question. You know my heart. Why would I ever say, yes, go murder people? This is so much deeper than just one. I understand your sentiment. I do. But this is also so much deeper than just one person. This starts at the home, okay? This starts with family. This starts with a seed that grows and grows. You can choose to have evil in your heart, or you can choose to have light. What you consume and what you absorb from the outside world will manifest itself.
Fake it and fake, fake. So she doesn't want to answer the question because she doesn't want to criticize Donald Trump. Don't forget, she's one of the pageant girls, guys. She's one of the pageant girls. Now, you out here pointing your finger at everybody else about political violence. This guy asked a simple question. Would you say this to Donald Trump for some of the things that he puts out there? Well, you know, and it starts at the home, and then there is a seed, and the seed grows, and yada, yada. I don't know if she's auditioning for a soap opera or what.
No, I will never agree with political violence. My husband is a victim of it. I'm a victim of it. But what I'm trying to say here is that we can blame everyone else. We have to look in the mirror when you become a father, when you become a mother. How are you raising your kids?
And then we already heard part of that, right? So again, a simple yes or no. Like, will you condemn, you know, what Donald Trump has said when it comes to those things, right? So it's right there in plain sight, guys. Very scripted. Check this out. Someone had a screenshot here, and I thought this was good. People need to see. Erika's not even looking at Barry when they're speaking. They're each reading scripts and teleprompters. Whoever did the shot blocking and set dressing for this blew it. This gives it all away. Look at the picture. So you see where Erika's looking. You see where Barry's looking, right? Like, see how, and notice during a lot of the interview, it's their faces side by side next to each other in a square. Let me show you one here. Notice how it's like that. But look at this. It's so obvious. This is what I was saying before. I said the same thing. And by the way, I'm not just picking on them. I said this before about other town halls. A lot of this is scripted. They already know what the questions are. So all this emotion, all this stuff that's coming from Erika and all this overdoing it from Barry Weiss is like, how did you feel about I don't know, I guess Barry's trying to be the next Oprah or something. She out there looking like Ricky Lake. I don't know. But it's fake. It's fake it, fake. Shame on CBS News. Ron Filipkowski said 25 posts in 3 days from CBS featuring Barry Weiss with Erika Kirk, or maybe Erika Kirk with Barry Weiss. It's hard to tell who was supposed to be the one featured in all of this. Guys, check this out. So this is what CBS News has been tweeting. Just this. There was just a shooting at Brown University. Look, this is all they've been talking about. That's crazy, isn't it? They've really been hyping this up. And I'm curious to see how many people actually saw that interview. How many people have CBS? So the poll should tell me. But before I get to the poll, I do want to say this. Guys, the fact that Barry Weiss is pretending as though this is the only woman who has lost her husband, considering the fact that there have been women in this country who their husband have been killed right next to them, right in front of them. I didn't see Barry Weiss run to do an interview with Philando Castile's wife when he was killed right in front of her and her daughter was in the back seat. I didn't see her rush to do no expose on that. She is using Erika Kirk to increase support for Israel. Problem is, how many people saw this? Let's see that poll. That's one of the options on the poll there. We have 3,599 votes. Thoughts about Erika Kirk's town hall. The first one is, it was good info. 3% said they agree with that. 53% said it was fake. 2% said it was okay. 41% said they didn't see it. And that's the thing, man. I think a lot of people didn't even see this. That's the thing. A lot of people don't even have cable anymore. But this is the new CBS News. I think Erika's full of it, and I think Barry Weiss is full of it. But obviously, you guys are not full of it. Otherwise, you would not be here. It's happening, folks. It's happening. All right. Eric is going to close out the show. Eric, thank you so much. Appreciate it. I got to shout this one out really quick. Thank you so much for the mutual aid donation. Big girls don't cry. Thank you so much for that. Okay.
she
There's
gave you
other
2
ones
of
that I
those.
wanted to say thank you for that. She gave 2?
Yeah. So there you go.
Oh, she gave 2 of these?
Yep.
How come Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Big Girls Don't Cry. Bless as many as you can. I hope this helps mutual aid donation. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, sorry.
And I wanted to share with you, this was also in a super chat, some good news here. Here we go. Thanks for the super chat, Wasim. He says, Richard Medhurst terrorism charges dropped in UK. And I actually have Richie's tweet from it. Here we go. So there you go. Breaking: UK drops terrorism case against Richard Medhurst. He says no charges will be filed and bail canceled. However, it was only a partial. Yes, good stuff. And then he says, however, it was only a partial victory for freedom of the press, as UK authorities handed Austria all their intel files for them to continue persecution. But some good news there anyways.
Awesome. Okay. Eric's going to close out the show. Thank you, guys. Have a good night. Keep up the fight.
All right. We'll say good night to Sabby for this Sunday. All right. I'm going to read through some of these super chats and maybe make a few other comments. Let's see. Let me check my notes. Yeah, I mean, one thing I just wanted to just connect the dots a little bit with, in that, with all these stories, whether we're talking about the Erika Kirk or the other, or these attacks, and whether they're false flags or not, our mission kind of stays the same, in that, in either case, the fix really comes down when you connect these dots to decorrupting our government. As long as we have this billionaire-controlled government, this billionaire-controlled society, where everything just runs the way they say it, you're going to have things like this, and sometimes you're going to have these periods, whether they're false flags or not, of just horrific incidents, because you can't direct this much money and resources to that billionaire class and their mega corporations and have things go well. So, I mean, what I like to say about them sometimes is, almost regardless of how you feel about the billionaires and the mega corporations morally, just on a pure practical level, we can't afford them. And so, that's the dots that I like to connect, that no matter how you view it or put it up there, like let's say they are a lot of false flag attacks. Well, what do we do about that? Well, you would want a non-corrupt, Congress and government to investigate it. And so, you would want a not totally corrupt FBI and congressional committees and hearings to dig into these things. But, right now, the idea of that happening in a real and honest way is almost kind of incomprehensible, because it's just so corrupted. So that's why I always want to connect the dots back to the corruption. And if I see candidates out there, the one way you can judge them is, are they talking about the corruption? And so then, the other question we should always be ready to answer is, okay, that all sounds good. What do we do about it? How do we get to a better place? And what I say is it's up to us. And it starts with having clear demands. If you look at the old 11demands.com or .org or .com for that matter, actually, but you can see what a very clear and coherent list of demands looks like. So I encourage anyone who hasn't yet to check that out. And if someone is looking at that and they're saying, you know, okay, 11 demands, that sounds good, but what are demands without power, right, behind them? Well, what I say is the power part of it is up to all of us. You know, we need to be the spark that gets real change happening. And so, you know, I would point it to the 11 demand strategy. As far as if someone's saying, how do we get from here to there? How do we do something about this? Construct a list of demands is the first thing, right? And they're showing that, the 11 demands, but it starts with demands. Embrace mutual aid and direct action as crucial tools for collaborative support, education, and progress. Make it your mission to educate everyone about this, the demands about MCDS, money corruption demand solutions. If you're dealing with any candidate or supposed representative, ask them, do they support these demands? What are they doing to enact them? You know, and if they're not, then, you know, call them what they are, corrupt. Provide zero support for Democrats and Republicans until they start enacting the demands. No votes, no money, no praise. Provide all possible support and aid to third-party and independent candidates who embrace the demands. Any serious candidate should already be calling out our current representatives as corrupt. That's actually a big one. I think that's really, if you want to know if you're looking at a candidate, whether they're indie or a party or what, whether they're for real or not, are they already calling out our current representatives as corrupt? When roadblocks are encountered, you intensify. And, you know, the key thing, be relentless about pointing out the real source of our problems, the billionaires and the mega corporations. It is the top 0.1% versus the rest of us. That is the fight. So there's a quick word about 11 demands. It's at 11demands.org. And please do check it out, and let's talk about how can we organize behind this or something like this to get something real done. But it's going to be up to us. No one else is going to do it for us. Meanwhile, super chats. We got a few super chats. Let's see what we got in the old queue. Thanks for this super chat, Kedman, who says, Sabby, I love your Zennial 90s references. Did I do that? Yep, I know that one. Did I do that? Yep. And thanks for the super chat, Sam0131, who says, Zios kill kids. Erika has 2 kids. Hostage situation. Gotcha. And thanks for this one, Helpful Harm. Quote unquote, forgive means call for unaliving, convenient. Yep. And thanks for this one, Wasim, who noted Richard Medhurst, and also Firepower in the chat, friend of the show, also noted that the Richard Medhurst news. It's good to hear. I'll just highlight again, Big Girls Don't Cry. Thanks for your very generous super chats towards mutual aid. Appreciate that. Skylar, another friend of the show, saying Erika Kirk's trying to get that Golden Globe nomination. The other thing I'll say about it is that, you know, I'm glad she's that bad at it. Put it that way. It's a thing, you know. One way to phrase it is we are blessed to have enemies that are this ridiculous, right? Thanks for this super chat, Measured Man, who says she didn't know they had the video of Erika and Boyer and Trump in 2015, and then pictures in 2016 and 2018 is where she met Charlie, and Superfeed, her mother company, was founded. 2018 dismantled. And thanks for this one, B-Man. My question would be, why was the FBI there in the first place? And why did Charlie's body fly on Air Force 2? Strange. Yeah, I mean, there's certainly a lot of questions, you know, with all that. And I just think generally those kind of questions and chaos, you know, can feed the establishment, you know, in a lot of times. Thanks for this one, Mountain Star Studio. Pill popper, WTF, these things that make you go, And thanks for this one, Scott Farrell. This is just nailing the coffin shut. Definitely a conspiracy. Poor Tyler Robinson, Patsy, right? And thanks for this, Mountain Star Studio. It says, and the Oscar goes to. And thanks, Proud Liberal. Jeffrey Epstein's carbine was active at UVU. All right. And thanks for this super chat. Covert White Rabbit. It says, "Don't apologize, Sabby. You're allergic to BS." I think that was in response to the sneeze. And thanks, Proud Liberal, who says, "Erica's OBGYN died before Charlie did. How?" And thanks, a lady 7473, who notes, "Oh my God, there are several GoFundMe's for Erika Kirk. It wouldn't surprise me." And Proud Liberal, thanks for this, who also says, "You can't find any photo of her dad, Kent Fransby." All right. And we're going through the queue. We got a few super chats built up. It was a pretty popular show today. I think our view count was north of 3,000. So good numbers. Thanks, Measured Man, who says, "Girl, bye. My youngest is an attorney and oldest G League and professional model. Never as our father. I thought that. STFU." I think Measured Man is responding to Erika Kirk's parenting advice. And thanks, Proud Liberal, who says TPUSA is a non-profit organization. All right. And thanks, Mountain Star. Worthy of a boost at Janice J 3436. Nobody, quote, hates that place. People hate genocide, propaganda as an art form, collectivist visioning, TSN equals. And yeah, I mean, one thing you definitely saw through that interview is just straw manning dialed to 1,000. It's a classic. It's a classic, what do you call it, strategy of the bullshitter and people who are pushing a narrative it's a debate tactic. You don't attack your opponent's point, their position directly. You build the straw man. That's why it's called straw manning. You build a straw man version, a fake exaggerated version of their position, and then you knock that down. And so they call it straw manning or knocking down the straw man. But it's a disingenuous form of debate. And, unsurprisingly, that's, the type of thing they're doing. And thanks for this one as well, Measured Man. Pews empty. I asked people to send me the newsletter pastors that Pews empty. I asked people to send me the newsletter pastors sent out this evening because they did not acknowledge they went to that country. I think connecting back to our story the other day of all those pastors going over to Israel. And thanks for this one, Kitty Cat 896. He says, "Go to Israel as a Christian and stand there getting spat on, and you won't even care because how can you hate them?" Yeah. All right. And thanks for this one, Texas Real. "I think this is the kid caught rehearsing crying and emotional lines in the parking lot before the event." I hear you. Yeah, it was, very scripted. It would be fun to see a video of those teleprompters scrolling by and prompting both of them as it goes on. And I mean, that may not even be the worst part of it. I mean, it's when people do presentations, it is not uncommon to have notes and even scripts and things and whatnot. The worst part of it is just the fakery of just acting like this is all just coming out of their hearts and it's all just their incredible truth when in fact it's, the stuff is really scripted. Or, I like to laugh thinking sometimes of them workshopping all these lines ahead of time and working out their talking points. And thanks for this super chat. Aluya. Sabby, thank you for your reporting. Your frequency of truth brought me to you. I wish I could give more, but please know we are listening and support you in strength. Thank you. Well, thank you very much. And yeah, I think there are a lot of people who find this show as kind of a refuge for their sanity. There's a lot of BS out there. And thanks for this one, James Bondage. She auditioning, leading the role in Exorcist 5. There you go. And thanks, Wanker Tanker, who uses a nice little $2 super chat to say, Jesus ain't a country. Jesus is just all right, from what I remember of that song. And thanks, Mountain Star Studio. Up in the ratings. Congrats on 300K subscribers. Well, thank you. Yep, 300Ks and onward. And thanks for this one, Covert White Rabbit, who says, 3 cheers, Eric T. Red, 11 demands, ASMR incoming. You got it. Appreciate that. And this one from Mountain Star Studio. Oh, thanks for identifying methodological fallacies. Yeah, there was a podcast I used to listen to that went over all kinds of logical fallacies. And yeah, it can be an interesting thing if you're into that. If you're into that kind of thing, and it can help to know when people are really BSing you. And I just need to find here. We got one more out on the old rock fins. Let's see if I can bring that up. There it goes. Got it. Show. And a little bit of sizing, and here we go. Thanks for this not Rumble, but thanks for this tip comment on Rockfin, Stephanie Caro, who says, what bothers me the most about Barry Weiss and Erika Kirk is that they clearly don't believe in the sacred American rule of law, due process, and presumption of innocence. They are the ones doing their utmost to make a fair trial for Robinson impossible. Thanks for that. I hear you. All right, that's going to about do it for us here tonight. Thanks to everyone for watching and participating. You can catch Sabby in the show live next on, it should be on Tuesday. I think we're going to have an interesting candidate who's running in Massachusetts. So do tune in for that one. And of course, we'll have stories and all the usual good stuff. And yeah, and that'll do it for us here for today. Until then, we'll see you next time. Thanks a lot. And have a good night. Keep up that fight. See you next time. Thanks.